just going to stand by and wait for that go for the approach initiation. You can see they've been making incremental boosts over the past 24 hours to get up to this point, 7 kilometers away.
Control F8 was not required to get to the correct reference frame. That actually took me to the wrong reference frames.
Okay, Josh, we copy and we'll make the update for future refs.
All right, and while that communication was underway, we did get confirmation the AI burn has started. The clock is starting now, 90 seconds.
That's certainly great news. Now, as you saw in that graphic just moments ago, and as Gary was saying, there have been a number of burns and maneuvers performed up until this point. And as of right now, as Gary just confirmed, we began that approach initiation, which is the blue box, the first blue box on the left. So we can think of this as Dragon began its journey with liftoff yesterday, or actually technically today at 12:34 a.m. Eastern time. Yesterday for us Pacific Coast folks. So it kind of like the process is, you can think of it when all of these maneuvers began, Dragon was on the right-hand side of that screen, did all of the phase burns, the boost burn, those co-elliptic burns, and now we just moved into that approach initiation.
We're hearing good calls about the trajectory of that burn. It's converging on waypoint 0. In that graphic, you saw waypoint 0 was really right underneath the International Space Station. It's about 400 meters, right above what's called the R bar that goes kind of straight through the International Space Station. That marker brings us into the what's called approach ellipsoid. Again, it begins the joint operations, but there's another circle that surrounds the International Space Station at about 180 to 200 meters, and that's called the keep out sphere. We just heard a confirmation of a good approach initiation burn with a nominal burn.
Dragon SpaceX on Dragon to ground, nominal burn. Reminder to review impulsive retreat recovery cue cards if desired.
SpaceX Dragon copies good burn, and we have that review in work.
All right, and that call was communicated up to the crew. That propulsive retreat just allows the crew to take control if they were to find anything off nominal from what we've seen so far. But we did hear from the flight controllers here in Mission Control Hawthorne that the trajectory has converged onto waypoint 0. That's that marker I was just talking about right underneath the R bar. So we're looking pretty good. There is an out-of-plane burn or a mid-course maneuver burn just in case we were to steer off course from that convergence onto waypoint 0. But right now we're looking pretty good, Kate.
Yeah, at this point in time, Dragon is basically steering itself. Of course, the crew inside have the ability to take over if necessary, but right now Dragon is actually using all of the sensors that it has on board to steer itself and use that onboard flight computer to do the calculations and get to the International Space Station on autopilot, basically. So it's a pretty advanced machine in terms of its ability to get to and move away from the International Space Station. But as we'll see over the next roughly hour to hour and a half, everything is going to be slow and steady, and everything is carefully coordinated. Each phase, each maneuver, each waypoint that we move through is basically given the go-ahead from the teams here at Mission Control at SpaceX, as well as at Johnson Space Center. Of course, the crew on board the International Space Station, who are monitoring Dragon's progress, and of course, the crew inside Dragon Endeavour itself.
That's right. It's going to be a very methodical approach. We, right now, after that waypoint 0 mark, we're going to swing in front of the station and we'll be docking to the Zenith port. This is the port that's on the space-facing side of the International Space Station. But again, we're just one of the control rooms here that are following along in the action. You heard that discussion about the big loop. There's a lot of players involved here. We're here at Mission Control Hawthorne, and you can see the flight controllers right next to us monitoring the Dragon's flight. Of course, the destination today is the International Space Station. Why don't we go over to the Johnson Space Center, where we have Rob Navius standing by and following along in the action in the International Space Station flight control room. How's it going, Rob?
Hey. Gary, Kate, good evening, and it's great to be with you guys tonight here in the International Space Station flight control room, the Orbit 3 team of flight controllers on duty, led by Flight Director Pooja Jasrani. The spacecraft communicator who will be talking to the station crew throughout the course of the rest of the rendezvous and the post-rendezvous activities is Capcom David Brenna. Everything has been going swimmingly. All of the approval points have been crossed with no issues reported. All the systems on the International Space Station are in excellent shape, awaiting the arrival of the Crew Dragon Endeavour at an expected docking time of approximately 11:45 p.m. Central Time, 12:45 p.m. Eastern Time, 12:45 a.m. Eastern Time on Friday morning. Once the docking occurs and the hooks are closed to form a hard mate between Endeavour and the the Zenith port of the Harmony module of the International Space Station, there will be leak checks on both sides of the docking interface, followed by the opening of the hatches and a subsequent welcoming ceremony as the Crew-6 quartet arrives on board to begin their half year on the International Outpost. While all this has been going on, there has been other activity on board the station. Roscosmos cosmonauts Sergei Prokopyev and Dmitry Petelin moved their Soyuz seedliners from the damaged Soyuz MS-22 spacecraft to the newly arrived Soyuz MS-23 vehicle. That occurred earlier today. NASA's Frank Rubio will move his custom-made Soyuz seedliner from the Crew-5 Crew Dragon, that's Endurance, where it's been temporarily parked, over to the new Soyuz vehicle. That is scheduled for Monday morning. So with all that in mind, the action split between here in Houston and you guys in Hawthorne, California, and we'll be back with you later throughout the course of the night. Gary, Kate?
All right, thank you, Rob. Now, of course, we're waiting, and hopefully we'll be getting views of the Dragon from the International Space Station
Fingers
soon.
crossed.
But really, this has been, it's been quite a long journey for the crew. We're coming up on about 24 hours.
What, did somebody step on a duck?
Kate, yesterday for us, but of course it was the same day. Launch day preparation started early for those crew members, about 4 hours prior to launch.
All right, guys, so we got to dock in about, I don't know, an hour and a half from now, give or take. Dragon just completed its approach ellipsoid burn, and they're actually going quicker. They're going quicker. They were supposed to dock at like 1:30. They moved the docking time up 45 minutes. Not 100% sure why.
And suit donning for seats 1 and 4.
Okay.
We're just finishing up our comm checks now, and we'll be done in less than a minute.
Copy all. Do we have permission to bring cameras back on board?
And you have permission to bring cameras back on board.
Okay.
Copy. And just as an update, ground team is still working through big loop configurations, but we are still go in this config through waypoint 2.
Okay.
SpaceX Dragon copies. Thanks.
Well, I heard that there's something wrong with the crapper. Yeah. I heard there was something wrong with the crapper, if I heard the loop right. I think someone broke the toilet, so I think they may need to get there a little faster. I'm not even kidding. That's what I thought I heard on the loops. I could be wrong. But we'll see.
The crew on board Dragon and the SpaceX Core, located here in Hawthorne, California, at SpaceX Mission Control.
Hit the plunger.
Sounded like Core was just reaching out to confirm.
Cameras are back on board.
Cameras. SpaceX Dragon copy, cameras back on board, and our comm checks internal are complete.
Okay. How do you clog the head in space? I think it's leaking, Hotel. I think the head is leaking.
So it sounded like the Core just wanted to check in to see if Sultan and Andre had completed putting the process of putting their suit on, or suit donning. And of course, they checked that prior to turning the cameras back on in board. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we should get some live views coming from Dragon Endeavour from inside the capsule.
That's right. Now, this is we're more than 24 hours from when they were actually getting ready.
Is anybody else getting weird vibes from this cast?
This is a view from 24 hours ago after suit up in the NASA.
There's just weird,
Operations
awkward pauses
building.
and stuff.
You can see the crew walking
Now, normally
out,
that's
waving
just
to
them
some
hearing the
final
comm loop,
farewells to their
but
family and friends who were waiting outside. Waving, they got in their Teslas and made the approximately 20 to 25 minute trip out to pad 39A. where they made their way up the...
So the commentators are at SpaceX's headquarters, where there's apparently lunch being served right now.
At the rocket, and then made their way down the crew.
010 suit donning and audio configure has been completed.
See again to the side hatch there.
Copy. Suit donning complete.
And of course, the suits that they're donning, you could see in some of the views from yesterday, right before launch. And you heard that confirmation. Now back with the live action after approach initiation burn. The suits that you just saw in that clip from 24 hours ago, that's the suits that they're wearing in the position that that we showed in that recap video. You saw the commander and pilot, Steve Bowen and Woody Hope.
Well, guys, I don't know. I may have heard it wrong on the loops, so we'll see. We'll see what's going on.
And Sultan Al Niyadi. So they are all suited up. You heard those they did an internal comm checks, which means they have the ability to talk to one another in the cabin of the Dragon. But we're hearing some of those Dragon to ground communications now, confirming that they're getting ready to go for the next set of operations.
Yeah, those comm checks are important because as we step into the dynamic operations, the crew will be instructed to close the visors of their helmet and I guess that will happen after they get back in their seats and strapped back in.
That's right.
So prior to beginning the more dynamic phases of docking, the crew actually will need to step through not only comm checks with each other like they just did, but comm checks on the ground, and they'll also go through a suit leak check where they will strap into the seat and the suit will be pressurized.
Dragon SpaceX on Dragon to ground. You are go to begin suit leak check procedure.
Okay.
Right on cue.
It's like I planned it.
SpaceX Dragon, go to perform suit leak check procedure. That's in work.
That's cool.
So in this process, they're actually filling the suits with nitrox, pressurizing the suits and making sure that they maintain pressure. They can check for any leaks along the way. Here's a graphic of the suit that they're wearing, 3D printed helmets, and custom fitting for each astronaut, which is, of course, into custom seats to allow for the maximum absorption of loads as they make their way through some of the more dynamic phases of flight, including landing, which they'll do 6 months from now. But that is currently underway, that pressurization, just make sure it maintains the pressure. It's an added layer of redundancy, right? Mm-hmm. The cabin of the Dragon itself is pressurized and meets all of the crew's needs in terms of cabin and a good mix of nitrogen and oxygen atmosphere, carbon dioxide scrubbing, but the suit does that as well. And just in case of a cabin depress, that suit is their last line of defense for protecting the crew in a pressurized environment.
And these suits are custom fitted to each astronaut. So while they are coming to SpaceX Hawthorne to do training exercises, they are also getting their measurements taken and performing comfort checks for their suit during the manufacturing process. So those suits, they do have to wear them for long stretches of time, and we wanted to make sure that they were not only safe and functional, but they were comfortable as well. So really customizing each suit for the astronauts is something that is done for every mission, and it also ensures that they aren't unable to swap suits or mistake their suit for someone else's. And they'll also perform in 6 months now, as Gary mentioned, whenever they splash down, the astronauts will actually put their suits back on to make sure that everything still fits, because the human body does change while up on the International Space Station with that microgravity environment. So I guess the Crew-5 crew, Gary, maybe you know if they've already performed their...
SpaceX Dragon, we're ready to pressurize.
Okay, they're going to do a lead check here to make sure they're ready for docking. It's
an indicator that the Crew-6 astronauts are in their seats.
Dragon, you are go to initiate suit leak check.
Go to initiate suit leak check. Dragon copies.
So that's Commander Steve Bowen giving the indication that they are going to step into that leak check for the suits. As Gary mentioned, that is a nitrox mixture that will be pushed through as the same stuff that's used in scuba tanks for our scuba divers out there. And it's also cooled to help keep the astronauts comfortable while they're sitting
Mission
in
is
those
good, Joe.
seats.
We got some great views during launch of that these suit leak check. It's a very standard thing. They actually do suit leak checks. During the initial setup, they do it again when they ingress the Dragon through the side hatch right before launch, and then you see them doing it now before some of these very dynamic phases of flight. The docking is considered a dynamic phase. We got some great views when we were watching launch, and you can actually see the suits themselves start to inflate, get a little puffy. We had Rajachari as one of our guest commentators over at the Cape, and he was describing the experience, Rajachari being an experienced commander aboard Dragon for Crew 3, and he was able to describe, as we were seeing it, some of the components of the suit start to move and expand during that process. We almost got a feel for what it was like to be inside the suit. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was so awesome listening to all of his insight, having experienced it firsthand.
So what's going on, guys? In case you kind of zoned out, I don't know why. I don't know what it is. Sometimes I'm just like, They're doing a leak check because the docking is a dynamic event. It's unlikely that the vessel is going to like spring a leak during dock, but it could, and you don't want to not have your suit on during that kind of condition. That's just one of those things, better safe than sorry. So they're doing leak checks before on the suits, before they initiate a docking sequence here. We should see a dock here in about an hour and 20 minutes. And Dragon did the approach ellipsoid, or the approach initiation maneuver, probably about 20-25 minutes ago. And we should see it pop up here in a moment. Like, when Dragon starts to move towards the ISS, they'll train the cameras from the ISS on the target. And we should be seeing some really nice pictures of it coming up here. Banana Bean, I'm not sure. I supposedly there was something wrong with the head. I had the countdown loop going while I was on break. Or not the countdown loop, the comm loops. And I heard something about the bathroom and checking for leaks or something. It might be fine. It might not. I don't know. What would they do if they had a suit leak right now? They'd probably analyze where and why the suit is leaking rampant. You'd want to figure out why the suit's leaking, what caused it, because you shouldn't have a leak right now. So you'd have to go into some kind of fault tree analysis in kind of what's called contingency procedures. Basically, figure out why the suit's like that. How did this happen, right? And then go from there. Where is it leaking? Why is it leaking? And then they could probably initiate a dock even with a leak, but it really depends on how severe the leak is and where it is, etc., etc.
Checks. So at this point in time, Dragon is going to continue its coast as it heads towards the opportunity for mid-course correction and ultimately waypoint 0. But as of right now, hopefully we'll be able to get some live views inside the cabin soon. But the Crew-6 astronauts are in their seats, they're buckled in, and we've just completed 4 successful suit leak checks. So the visors are down, and as Gary said, this is basically how they will remain until docking is complete, as it is a dynamic portion of the overall flight.
You know, we keep talking about the Crew-6 astronauts, but why don't we get to know them? We'll start with the commander of Crew-6, Steve Bowen. Steve Bowen was born in Cohasset, Massachusetts. He holds a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from the U.S. Naval Academy and a master's in ocean engineering from the Joint Program in Applied Ocean Science and Engineering at MIT and Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. In July 2000, Bowen became the first submarine officer selected as an astronaut by NASA. This will be Bowen's 4th trip into space as a veteran of 3 space shuttle missions, STS-126 in 2008, STS-132 in 2010, and STS-133 in 2011. Bowen has logged more than 40 days in space, including 47 hours, 18 minutes during 7 spacewalks. As the mission's commander, he'll be responsible for all phases of flight aboard Dragon from launch to reentry.
Yeah, you think his resume is
As
good?
for our pilot, Woody Hoberg
Listen
is
to
from
this.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He earned a bachelor's degree in aeronautics and astronautics from MIT and a doctorate in electrical engineering and computer science from the University of California, Berkeley. He is also a commercial pilot with instrument, single engine, and multi-engine ratings.
Dragon SpaceX on Dragon to ground for big loop config.
Discovery, go at throttle.
Cosmic.
SpaceX Dragon with you.
Hey Woody, we think we've resolved most of the issues with the big loop, so expect a call on the big loop for comm checks.
I don't know, Tessa. Yeah, the guy
Dragon copies.
Because
looks
we were
like
talking about Woody
23.
Hoberg. That was him just now responding back to.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop, comm check.
How old is he? Hold on.
SpaceX Dragon, have you loud and clear on the big loop.
Hey Steve, 144K bidirectional link established. Change
37.
PTT destination to ISS,
Bro.
and then initiate comm checks with SpaceX, Houston, and station.
That ain't
How
much
copy?
older than me.
And SpaceX Dragon copies, and we'll put that in work.
Actual dock is about an hour and 20 minutes out. I'm in it for the views, guys. That's what I'm waiting for when they turn the ISS cameras on.
As a reminder, we'll be hearing from
Right? Tessa, the guy
several
looks
different
like 23.
locations to configure this big loop. You'll hear from, in this view right here, from the flight controllers here, Mission Control at SpaceX. We'll hear from the Capcom over in the International Space Station.
Dragon comm checks on the...
And of course from aboard Crew Dragon Endeavour, as well as the International Space Station.
Dragon station on the big loop. The last half of your transmission was cut off.
And Station Dragon, this is just comm check.
Okay, got you loud and clear now. Excited to get you guys on board, and not just because we get to go on after that.
And Station, we agree. We'll be happy to send you home, and we're looking forward to seeing you this afternoon, this morning, this evening, whatever it happens to be.
Sounds great, Steve.
Steve's like, I don't know what time it is. I don't care.
Houston Dragon on the big loop comm check.
Dragon,
Surge.
this is Houston on the big loop. I hear you
I'm
5 by
37.
5. How do you hear me? Morning, Steve.
Oh, onboards. Here we go. Let's go.
And Houston Space Dragon, we have you loud and clear as well.
Awesome. Sure, it's good to hear y'all's voices today. Station, Houston, how do you hear me on the big loop?
Houston Station has you loud and clear, David.
Great
I
news,
don't think so,
Josh.
Genesis.
Look forward to working with y'all today. Let's do this thing.
I'm not exactly sure what we're seeing.
Station
here.
concurs.
That there is.
Okay.
That right there is a live view from Dragon capsule looking at the International Space Station coming from
right.
the thermal imagers on board Dragon.
So check this out, guys. On the center screen, so you have your primary flight displays left and right for commander and pilot. So Woody's over here, Steve's over here. You see up here at the top, you could there's some information that you could check. And if you guys were sitting here with my docking tutorial when I did the docking tutorial in Kerbal this afternoon, some of this information will make sense to you. So orbital velocity there looks, I think that's 7.4 or 7.6 kilometers a second. Apogee and perigee are basically about 410 by 410. It's like 415 by 410, slightly eccentric at 51.6 degrees inclined. ISS orbit. What that the center of the center display showed, or the bottom of the center display showed, it looked like kind of a mountaintop almost. That's showing Dragon's trajectory relative to the ISS because it's in a lower eccentric orbit. So it's kind of going to go up near the ISS, just like that. And then, unless they change something, it's going to go down and away. That is this trajectory, this type of trajectory, and the way they're plotting it here shows the differential eccentricity of the orbit. You can see that the orbit it's eccentric. There's your apogee and perigee right there. They're eccentric. Those numbers don't match. If those numbers matched, well, then you'd be circular. They're not circular. I did. Rob Navius is, he's in station, or at Houston. Control. It's all automated, Biff. Woody and Steve can take control if Dragon's computers do something that they, that are not correct to do. What time zone do they use in space? UTC. They're using Greenwich Mean Time, Thors. Yeah. Everybody up on the ISS is on Greenwich Mean Time. So, there you go. So, that's velocity, current altitude, apogee, perigee, right? Inclination. And then I'm not sure what that last one says. But yeah, you can see the orbital information in real time. Now you can see Dragon is kind of pointing at the ISS. That ISS has a circle, and then it looked like it had like an obelisk on one side. That obelisk is the approach corridor for the capsule. There's two approach corridors on the ISS. They're both at the very front of the ISS, and one of them points kind of forward, and the other one points up. So there is a docking port at the forward part of the ISS, right, which is called the V-bar alignment docking port. And then there's one that's on the zenith of the ISS up at the front, which is called the R-bar alignment. There's basically two runways on the ISS for incoming craft. If we're looking at the ISS from the side, there's two ways to dock. You can go all the way up over to the top of the ISS and come down. Yep, see, there they are, right there. There's your R-bar approach, and there's your V-bar approach. Those are the two runways to the ISS. Those lead to the docking ports. I'm not sure which one they're going to use today. They might use V-bar, but basically what they'll do is they'll change the maneuver a little bit and try to get this point out here, your imaginary parking space out in front. They'll hold the capsule there for a second, and then they'll start to move in, or they'll put themselves up over the top of the ISS and come down from the top. Hey, Hooks, what's going on? It could be. Yep.
Execute a burn to swing right out in front, where hopefully get some really good views
that sounds
of
right.
both the
That's
Dragon
right,
and...
How many ports are available today? Well, considering that Crew-5's Dragon is up there already, and there's only 2 spots for Dragon to dock, we have 1 port open. Where did you learn all this? JN, I am a nerd to the highest extent. I'm self-taught when it comes to this stuff because I like space. I would say I'm a space cadet, but, you know, that's what my mom calls me. You damn space cadet. No. I'm self-taught. I watch a lot of NASA TV, and I teach it here on Twitch to the point where even NASA's freaking straight up like lurked the YouTube channel before, and they're like, keep doing what you're doing, EJ. I'm like, hi. Okay. I will, I think. So... yeah, Jen, right on, man, right on. So you want to learn about how spacecraft approach the space station, or rockets or anything. My main game that I play here on Twitch is Kerbal. I busted out probably about 8 hours of Kerbal today, took a break, went and got something to eat, came back. Now we get to see this dock. We watched this Dragon launch yesterday on stream, and that was fun, man. That was a good time. It's really cool to see people launch into space. So... yeah, this I know, honestly, this information up there, I know from playing too much Kerbal Space Program. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even going to deny it. The approach ellipsoids and the R-bar and V-bar approach, that's something you got to go and read about. And watching way too many things dock to the ISS, but yeah. Yeah, they have, Astro. You ever play Star Citizen? I don't play Star Citizen, McFunk, out of fear of addiction. Straight up. Straight up. Appreciate the knowledge. Dude, I got you, Buzz. I got you. You want to learn about spaceflight? That's my jam, dude. I love this stuff. It is an unhealthy addiction, but fortunately it makes me money, so, you know, we're good. We're good. Can you do a replay of the launch in the second window? They'll show it here in a second, Airborne. Yep. How's the launch? Launch was great. Star Citizen is crazy good. Mackie, fear of addiction, man. Kerbal is bad. With Star Citizen, I will never pay my bills. Oh, there we go. There's the maneuver change. See it right there? So they pulse the RCS on Dragon a little bit and see how it's going to do. It looks like kind of an ampersand almost, right? It looks like, judging by what we see here, this looks like an R-bar approach. Yeah, so they did the approach initiation here. These phasing burns in the co-elliptic, the close co-elliptic burn, transfer final co-elliptic. They've already done all that. They're basically getting up to the ISS here. They should be docked in about an hour and 10 minutes, so to speak. But guys, honestly, like, it is kind of boring watching this stuff, but I'm in it for the views. The views that we see of a spacecraft coming into the ISS is honestly why I cover these. They're so damn good. What's Star Citizen? Star Citizen is a sci-fi space MMO RPG of craziness. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. Yeah. You need to bring Stationeers back in the mix? Jeez. Yeah. FPS thing. Star Citizen is ridiculous. I can't even describe how nutty that game actually is. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, here's a really good graphic. With waypoint 0
Watch.
being sort of right below the International Space Station. You don't really reach waypoint 1 until you're 220 meters right above.
See? What they're going to do there, did you see that? It's just like what I was trying to tell people in the docking tutorial this afternoon. They're doing, so this is an R-bar approach, all right? Radial bar approach as opposed to velocity bar, all right? So they're doing an R-bar approach at waypoint 1. So they're going to circle all the way up over around the ISS. And once again, what they're doing there is differential eccentricity. Dragon is actually in an orbit that has its highest point in the orbit slightly above the ISS, right? So they put themselves into an orbit, and Dragon appears to basically fly around the ISS in this type of orbit. But what's really going on is that it's just slightly eccentric. The orbit is slightly not circular. And the higher point with the orbit, when Dragon reaches its high point in the orbit, or apogee, it's right over the top of the ISS. So this is an R-bar approach, and they find that imaginary parking spot out a little ways away from the docking port, and then zoom right in. That's exactly how you should do it in KSP. Find a parking spot out in front of your docking port, get your spacecraft to it, and zip right in. That's it. That is how you make this happen.
Access, we get fantastic views.
Yeah,
Here's one. It's still pretty far away. You
that's
can sort of
Dragon
see the
right
blinking,
there.
Navigation
You can see the strobes
lights of the Dragon.
I don't know if they've gone right to R-bar approach bandit, but this is the first time I can remember doing this in my
We're also
memory.
in an orbital nighttime. The International Space Station is 259 statute miles over the North Atlantic Ocean in an orbital nighttime.
Yeah,
so,
Whiskey, very complicated,
the views are
synchronized
a little bit obscured. We
skydiving.
don't have the
Yep.
illumination.
This is a fun view.
Yeah.
This is very Inception of Dragon looking at the space station on the left using thermal camera. So and that's then on the right hand side, the
Did Kate just make an Inception meme joke? Schmook, thanks for the raid. Cream, how you doing? Kate just made an Inception joke.
each other.
What a nerd. But check it out. See, if you look right there, so check it out, 422 by 404, orbit not found. That's slightly eccentric, meaning the orbit is slightly egg-shaped, just a little bit. And the way they have this set up is the highest point in the orbit is going to be up here. But they're showing what this camera is showing right here, what that view, that heads-up display is showing, is their trajectory relative to the ISS. So it looks like it's going to do like an infinity loop almost, right? But what happens, what this looked like is, what this ends up looking like is Dragon goes up on top of the space station, and then it would kind of go back down. Like it would go up to the top, and if something went wrong, they couldn't dock and they needed to back away, they could just keep going in that orbit, and it would go back down. So like it would go up in front and then come back down, which is it's kind of strange when you think about it like that. But yeah, the way they're showing that trajectory is showing the path of Dragon relative to the ISS, so it looks like it does this weird loop. In reality, it's just kind of out in front of the space station, and its orbit, if it kept going in its orbit, it would just fall away from the space station because it would accelerate, because once again, the orbit is slightly eccentric, higher apogee, lower perigee. So when it gets up on top of the ISS, the spacecraft would naturally start to speed up because it would try to speed down towards perigee, because the apogee is the slowest point. So Dragon is basically going to get up there. It'll look like it'll pause for a second. And then if something goes wrong, it'll just back away. But if they are good for docking, what's going to happen is they'll fire the RCS, the reaction control thrusters, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the RCS jets. They're little teeny little rocket engines that they can kind of pulse them to do fine control in space. Once they get to the apogee there, they will fire the side thrusters, and Dragon will circularize right there. It'll circularize its orbit, so it kind of just flies in formation with the ISS for a second, and then it'll drop in. My pleasure, man. Had a great stream. Somehow landed on Duna using the hydrogen nuke engine. Nice. Yeah, it's a complicated, I mean, Whiskey said it right. It's complicated formation skydiving. That's what's going on here. That's a good way to put it. That's right, Twitchy. And if you have persistent rotation on in KSP, you can do this. Sure, no problem. Heck, you don't even need persistent rotation. You just got to make sure the docking port's lined up at apogee. It would kind of be hard to do that, but you could do an approach like this in KSP where you basically fly around the space station. Yeah, absolutely. Totally doable. Can Dragon boost the ISS? Serge, it's been... They thought about it, but no, it really can't. The reason why... Dragon's boosting thrusters, believe it or not, Dragon flies backwards around in space. Like, this graphic's a little bit misleading. Dragon actually flies that way. It flies trunk first around in space. The thrusters for boosting are actually up at the front. True story. They're up in the nose by the docking port. There's 4 of them. So if Dragon's going to dock... Now, don't get me wrong, it has RCS to push in the other direction, but those reaction control thrusters have to go around the heat shield, right? So they're off at a weird angle. So they use the ones that are perfectly aligned with the center of mass to fly further, or to fly more efficiently. You get better impulse if the thruster is lined up with center of mass like that. Now, don't get me wrong, Dragon's backward-facing thrusters are lined up, but they're tilted out like this. Like if the capsule's going this way, they're tilted out. So you're not gonna get as good of a thrust from those because they're not pointed directly in the direction you're trying to get to. So Dragon really, you could do it, but it wouldn't be very efficient. It wouldn't be a good thing to do. I think Cygnus would probably be better for boosting the station, and NASA seems to agree with that, and I agree with that because I read the NASA study saying that would be a better idea. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm just regurgitating that information. I don't know enough about spacecraft to know what would work and what wouldn't, to be 100% real with you. But yeah, Cygnus would probably be better to do it. Dragon really, I mean, it could, but you really don't want to do that. Hubble Hugger reboost. Yeah, nervous. It could boost stuff. Yeah, maybe in the future.
Gary mentioned, we actually were able to see...
Did the shuttle reboost the station with the orbiter maneuvering system? No. You'd want thrusters for that.
Being the primary one. You can also see
that's right.
the screens on the left and the right are now also being used in order to show additional information. As we said before, they're able to monitor the activity of the various...
The ISS live schnoid is going out to 2030. An ETA. About an hour, McFunk. Yeah, it's just they approach the station really slow, but the views that we're going to get here, like when the station gets into the daytime, the views that you see are going to be, yeah, that's why I cover this stuff. Even an hour out, the views are insane.
Is when the Dragon is approaching, it blocks the...
Are these commentators out of Hibachi? They are actually on the mezzanine at SpaceX's headquarters, literally the cafeteria. That's where they broadcast. That's where they do the casts from. So if you hear people like screwing around on chairs and people with silverware and stuff, yeah, it's because people are eating right next to them. SpaceX's workers. It's the cafeteria for their factory in Hawthorne. I know because I've stood where they're casting from.
Control Hawthorne. Of course, this is a we call it joint operations for a reason. It takes several teams all working together to actually execute this very
Stop
delicate
it.
operation. Here
Stop
at Mission
yawning.
Control Hawthorne, the
I need
teams
more
here are
water.
monitoring the systems
Yes,
aboard
Hydra,
the
there is.
Dragon. If we go over to Houston, Texas, you can see this is the International Space Station Flight Control Room. The teams here are, of course, monitoring Dragon, talking with the teams here in Hawthorne, but their responsibility is the International Space Station. The destination for Crew-6, Crew Dragon Endeavour, and our 4 astronauts aboard today, once they dock and enter into the International Space
There we
Station,
go.
they're no longer designated as commander, pilot, mission specialist. That's their role when they're inside this crew vehicle.
Fuel
They have
levels right
distinctive
there.
responsibilities with those titles. But once they enter into the International Space Station, their title for the next 6 months will be flight engineer. Their responsibilities will be to conduct science, maintenance. They'll be conducting a few spacewalks.
Yep, they'll do a bunch of spacewalks and stuff. Gary knows what he's doing. So yeah, Dragon is about the size of like a kid's bedroom, I guess. Like if you picture like a small bedroom with a single twin bed, something like that. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not a lot of space, but for a spacecraft that holds 4 people, that's a lot of space. Because you got to remember, take a room that's like 3 meter by 3 meter. Okay, so about 10 feet by 10 feet. You know, small room, right? Take that and unfold it. Unfold it. So the walls can be the floor. The ceiling folds over. That's also the floor. The other 2 walls, floor. That's all the space that you have to use. There's no up, down, left, and right in space. So anywhere that there's space, you just go. Use all the volume to your advantage. Like, you could go down underneath the chairs and you could sleep down there if you really wanted to. Or you could sleep in your seat. Or you could sleep behind the control panel. Like, there's actually a lot. There's, like, saying it's like, a 3 meter by 3 meter bedroom, right? That seems kind of small, but it's actually not when you have all that floor space unfolded. That's a lot of volume, you know? Hey, 17-month resub. Has there ever been any real bad accidents on the ISS? Yeah, Fish, there's been a couple of hiccups here and there, dude. One of the Russian modules, when they docked it last year, started firing its engines and flipped the ISS end over end. True story. It was, nothing bad happened, but it was a real, oh, frick moment. Yeah, that happened before. There has been, Progress M35, I think. That was Mir, though. A Progress capsule, a resupply capsule, missed its docking port one time on Mir space station and crashed into it. Yeah, that was not good. There's Dragon. Okay, so here we go. We're getting into daylight. Dragon is approaching. So what's going by on the screen are city lights. Yeah, city lights. Yeah, those are lights on the ground. Now, I know what people are going to say. Why is the camera so pixelated? Well, radiation doesn't do good things to the cameras up there. These are all dead pixels. This camera has seen better days.
Illuminates the Dragon, especially it was very clear when it was much further away and we couldn't pick out some of these distinctive features. That docking light really did a great job of having us to be able to locate the Dragon from a much further distance. But we're really just at this point, we're so close to waypoint 0, I can effectively say we're about 400 meters away.
There we go.
There's a nice view kind of capturing.
It's interesting because the standard definition cameras on the ISS, the ones that are like from the 80s, in the 90s, they're all rad hardened. So these cameras don't really get destroyed like the other cameras do. It's the high def cameras that get eaten. Like they get irradiated so bad. Yeah, exactly, Ingram, right?
The space station. So they will remain outside of that keep out sphere for waypoint 0 as well as
there you go,
waypoint 1. At waypoint 1 will be 220
nice
meters. But I believe that we heard the call out indicating that
things aren't made the way they used to be.
Waypoint 0,
yeah, I mean, Terminator, if you want to figure out a way to rad shield a high def camera, you go and do that. NASA probably looked at the price tag of that and went, nah, we'll just replace the cameras.
Coming into
What a
An
shot.
orbital
This is
sunrise.
why we tune
So
in
the
for
space
this.
station right now is 261
That's why we tune in for this, dude. Look at that thing.
statute miles right over Germany
9.
as sunrise is happening now over Eastern Europe.
That's a really cool view because,
Flight
of course, we
operations.
lost it, unfortunately. But that view is basically looking from the top down, or a bird's eye view, if you will,
What's
of
oscillating,
the Dragon
Mongo?
capsule.
Or Mongo?
The little
Ooh,
bump on the
hello.
side of it is the nose cone, because the nose cone is moved out of the way so that it exposes the forward hatch and all of the guidance and navigation control sensors.
GNC.
That asymmetric white spot, basically. Once it gets closer, you'll be able to see that nose cone in greater detail. But another cool thing to look out for is you can actually see the windows of Crew Dragon as well. Whenever we were still when we did not have as much sunlight hitting Dragon, we were actually
Right.
able to see the illumination coming from inside the cabin, not only from 2 of the side windows, but also from the forward hatch itself. There is a tiny window on that hatch as well. So always kind of fun to look for as Dragon gets closer and closer to the station. Of course, we try to bring live
was a
views
little
whenever we
mini
have them,
astronaut.
and so hopefully we'll be able to have more momentarily. But as we mentioned before, oh, there we go. Looks like Woody Hoberg, the pilot, is stretching his arms there. We can see the crew continues to monitor along. They use those crew displays basically
There's the
to
V-bar
keep
approach
track of
and the
everything
R-bar
through the different
approach.
phases of flight.
Oh, there we
They are
go.
able to
There we
basically
go.
keep an eye on Dragon's velocity. And
Dudes, you know what's crazy? If you were here with me for the Crew-6 coverage, we were straight up sitting there watching a guy seal that hatch on the side. We watched the pad ninjas seal up that hatch, and now we're seeing it up in space going 17,500 miles an hour. My brain has trouble parsing that. I don't know about you guys. Like, we just saw these guys get into the spaceship. You know, like that was like 24 hours ago, and now they're up at the freaking space station. It's like, wait, huh? Wait, what? That really messes with my head. Like, and I know what's going on here. Like, I know, the mechanics behind this stuff, and it's still like, huh, that's weird.
they could actually
what's up,
steer
man?
to the ISS
Baseball
themselves, if
Yeah,
for some
hello,
reason.
friend. Oh, there's the
There's a great
RCS.
view there on the right showing the active usage of the thrusters
Oh,
on board
that's-
Dragon, with planet Earth rotating behind it.
That's pretty coggers.
So we can see just how hard those Draco thrusters work to keep Dragon on course to the International Space Station.
Yep.
These are very short but strong impulses.
Yep. What that just did was put them basically on the right type of
Flight
orbit
controllers are
for the
monitoring
R-bar
burn.
alignment.
And checking the convergence of the trajectory to
I'm
make
going
sure
over here.
Dragon is
You
going to
guys look at
continue
the capsule.
that maneuver, swinging in front of the International Space Station outside the keep out sphere to meet with waypoint 1.
So we should be hearing a call out soon that waypoint 0 has concluded.
So, Mon, were you saying why is it oscillating
Inside
here?
the
It's because the mount that the camera's on, the mount that PTZ does move because of the torque of the engine, the torque of the motors that with the camera that moves it. It does move around a little bit. There's no gravity to hold it in place. So when the motor goes like this, zzz, zzz, it has to dampen out that force somehow.
engines firing. Fantastic views from the external cameras of the station.
What a view.
Yeah, it's certainly not an easy job having to basically keep pace with the constant motion of.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop.
Yeah,
Approach
that's
0
right.
has started and trajectory has converged on waypoint 1. Expected arrival time is per your displays. And when you're ready to copy, I have some words for you on our Dragon Eyes.
Dragon Eyes is the optical system that looks for the docking port and aligns Dragon with its docking port. It looks for it and aligns to it. Man, what a shot. This is not in infrared. No, this is visible light. Look at the color of the solar panels. Not infrared right there, but also Hamana, 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 hamana. Oh, on Dragon, his yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's pretty neat. I'm awake.
So a quick recap as we wait for the crew to respond.
Not really, Serge, but SpaceX put strobes on
Did
it.
execute an approach 0 burn. The trajectory has converged onto waypoint 1.
Yep.
So
Are
we're
those
following
clouds?
along. Everything
Yep.
looks
Yeah,
good
Ramsey.
for this maneuver that we're witnessing right now. Dragon swinging in front of the International Space Station. Going to head up towards the space-facing side, right in front of the docking port.
Your mom's flat, Jor. Got him. Got him good.
Space Station and Dragon are approximately 261 statute miles over Turkey.
About 400 kilometers
Morning
up.
over in Turkey. They'll continue
They're
in daylight for much of this maneuver.
about 1,000. They're probably, I wouldn't say 1,000 meters. They're a little more. They're a couple thousand meters away. Sorry, Joer. That's how I treat people that come in and do that. I don't know if people are just, trying to say something funny or like, dude, I get people coming in here actually saying that stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, homie. Like, I don't know what to say, bro. I don't know what to say. What do you want?
Once again, we're standing by to get confirmation from the crew. It sounded like, I just want to point out quickly, I mentioned before, in this view, you can actually pick out the two side windows of Dragon because they are illuminated from the inside there on the left-hand side. So kind of neat
They're
to...
broadcasting from the mezzanine.
If it were me, I would have my face glued to the window looking out.
Yeah, me too, Kate.
But we're standing by for, sounds like SpaceX
They're
Core
over
wanted
Turkey
to
right now,
provide
Bing
some
Bong?
information to the crew regarding the Dragon Eyes, which are basically...
SpaceX Dragon, we're ready to contact you for words on the Dragon Eye opportunity.
Yeah, but Forlorn ain't
And
that...
Dragon, great news. We have good solution on both Dragon Eyes, and we'll be continuing to station.
Wait. Who's that a picture of, Forlorn? I don't know who that's a picture of.
SpaceX Dragon, that is good news. Thank you.
Yeah, so just a quick word, Dragon Eyes. We love to be creative with how we name hardware here at SpaceX, and the Dragon Eyes are exactly as the name suggests. They are what allow Dragon to see one of the several sensors on board Dragon that really steer it, part of that guidance, navigation, and control systems. But yeah, those Dragon Eyes are basically clusters of two thermal imagers as well as two LiDAR rangefinders. So those Dragon Eyes, there are two of them on board Dragon, and those will be critical for the
Dude,
docking
look at the city.
approach
Look at that
of
city that
Dragon
just went
Endeavour
by.
to the space station.
You see that? Did you see that?
There,
Did you
as
see
I
the
mentioned
village or
before,
the
that
city? It's
nose
probably
cone,
city from
you
up
can-
here. You see
can
that?
see with better detail why that top-down view is asymmetrical with that nose cone having...
I'm sorry, fellas. Like I don't really have much to add here. I'm just kind of wow. That's neat. So I'm gonna let them talk. How fast is it going? ISS is going about 17,500 miles an hour. It's 27,000 kilometers an hour. That's what you need to do to stay in orbit. This is why I like spaceships. They go fast. They go faster than anything. This is making a rifle cartridge from like the most powerful rifle look like a freaking snail. This is like going 6 times that speed. That's why I love spaceships. They go fast, man. I want to go fast.
Aerodynamic loads, and so that nose cone, while it
Right,
may
Ninja?
seem
I'm like,
simple, it's actually one of the most important parts of Dragon.
These fantastic views, again, courtesy of the space station external cameras. We're on a southeastern track right now, passing over Iran. I do hope Sultan Al-Mayani is paying attention to where he is. In a few moments, we're going to be passing right over Dubai. In the United Arab Emirates.
Dubai is right here. So that's Iran right there.
features.
So Afghanistan's right there. Pakistan's right there. Iraq is
some of
right
the
here. Okay. Yeah.
Beautiful coastal regions of Iran.
Tehran is right there. You can see Tehran from
The
here.
Persian
Look
Gulf
look
is
at
very
that.
prominent. That
What
blue
the frick?
area on the
That's
bottom left of
awesome.
your screen.
Yeah, that was Qatar over there. In the bottom left, you can see Qatar in Bahrain. What the frick? Yeah, Persia Imgram, indeed. Yeah. Look at that.
Once again, Dragon has moved through waypoint 0 on its way to waypoint 1. So it's basically somewhere between 400
Yeah,
meters
okay,
and
it's me too.
220 meters. That waypoint 0 is at 400 meters, and waypoint 1 will be at 220 meters. And as we said before, they're going to
Come
coast
back.
right through
No, flight operations.
waypoint 0, and the navigation is basically set for
There's
waypoint
Dubai.
2, which is 20
Look.
meters away from the
Oh,
International
no,
Space
am I
Station.
wrong?
So,
Wait a minute.
we will hear a
weird
call
looking
out
at it
about
at this
waypoint
angle.
1, as well as a call out indicating that they are clear
That's the
to enter
man-made
that
islands
keep out
in
sphere,
Dubai, right?
which is an imaginary sphere
Hold on.
around the International
Hold on,
Space
hold on.
Station, 200 meters out. And as the name implies, you got to keep out unless you have permission.
They indicate different protocols and responsibilities for
Yeah,
the joint
it is.
teams. Right now, we're inside the
is.
approach ellipsoid.
That's
and
what
with that
we're
comes
looking
certain
at. It flew
protocols
over Abu
that
Dhabi,
have
and those
the
are the,
International
you can see
Space
the
Station
man-made islands
teams
in Dubai.
and the
What the frick?
Dragon teams, the SpaceX teams here in Hawthorne, working together, following a similar set of what are called flight rules.
The Strait of Hormuz, yeah.
Do you want to
Mhm.
indicate
Somebody's
at
saying
this
that
very
before,
moment,
Mel. That's cool.
the International Space Station is 260
Mel.
statute miles
Yeah.
directly over Dubai in the United Arab Emirates.
Emirates. Yeah. Dude, you think Sultan
Okay, you were mentioning
Nayedi
the
is looking
different
out the
zones,
window?
the
He'd
approach
probably, I'd be
ellipsoid,
like,
the keep-out sphere.
"Hey!" You know?
Right now, Dragon sitting at about 405 meters. It's a safe distance
That's
away from
wild,
the
dude.
keep-out sphere. The keep-out sphere has a range, depending on where you are, of about 180 to 220 meters. Yeah, you can see sort of that. It's almost like we're hugging the keep-out sphere, but we are a very safe distance away.
You can see my
When
house
we
from here.
converge onto waypoint 1, we are going to see the Dragon start to get closer and closer until you get to that 220 meter point, until you execute the burn maneuver approach 1, and that sets you up to go to waypoint 2, right at the 20 meter mark in front of the docking port.
The Gulf of Oman here and out into the Indian
Should
Ocean.
be able to maintain good views of Dragon as it's
Yeah, keep out sphere. No, it's the restricted airspace around the ISS, Astro. Think of it like an airport. It has airspace that you do not go into unless they say you can go into.
of the International Space Station. That's where
But unlike an airplane, which is in basically an airplane's keep out airspace is like a hemisphere almost. This is a full sphere. You know what I mean? Because
Crew
3 dimensions here.
up space on that docking port, so we have to go to Zenith.
Dragon,
It's
SpaceX
dope,
on the big
Shady.
loop.
Isn't it
Expect
cool?
reconfiguration of the C2V2 return link shortly.
C2V2 is their
SpaceX Dragon copy.
Dragon Station interfacing link. Who would enforce that? The Space Force? I mean, massive extension. It's more of a safety procedure. No one's gonna violate the airspace of the ISS without causing a pretty bad international incident. That's more just spacecraft precautions, right? Think of it like an airport with no tower. Like there's airports with no tower. You can technically fly over the runway if you want, but it's really just making sure that when you do go to land, nobody else is near. That, and I mean, like, how else would you do this? Airplanes are the closest thing I think we have to this.
One of the Crew 5 astronauts. Expedition 68
Well, I
flight
don't know,
engineer, his
Frack.
responsibility.
I don't know if somebody would test that space. I don't know what would happen. I think they would have a number for them to call. Yeah. Excuse me. Unidentified spacecraft. This is NASA. We have a number for you to call. If NASA calls you and says they have a number for you to call, you probably should do the whole Oh, please come back.
miles. Over in the horizon is the Indian Ocean.
That black dot right in the center of your screen, now larger. as
What
Dragon
the
capsule.
balls?
What a beautiful view.
Look at, you can see the atmosphere. Freaking air. You can look at the atmospheric fall off. Isn't that crazy?
Again, the console
Holy
position in the
schnitzel.
International Space Station Flight Control Room is Cronus, who has complete control over the cameras, adjusting zoom, position, as well as exposure.
A game of constant
Yeah, right,
adjustment,
Shady?
fighting against
Yeah, you
the
can see
consistent movement.
right at the
and
horizon
Yeah,
there.
tell Nady
yeah.
did good with KSP Human DLC.
As we mentioned before, Dragon has passed through waypoint 0 at 400 meters, and it's basically swinging up and out in front of the station, and it will hit waypoint 1 at about 220 meters. At that point, it will be on the docking axis, which basically means it will be directly in front of the docking port that it's heading to.
I'm not
which
yawning, I'm
today
making
is the
faces at
Zenith
you.
Port.
That'd be pretty good, tech guy.
Features a lot more prominent on board the.
How many mods do they have installed? Well, they're playing the stock game as far as I can tell. But, you know, the thing about the stock game, Dihydrogen, is that, oh, he's changing the UI there. The thing about the stock game, ground track view. The thing about that is that it's, you know, it's kind of pay to win. You know what I'm saying?
But they're much more clear
Hard game to play.
from the cameras in front of the Dragon.
Woody was just checking to see where they are
You
over
can
the planet.
see
there.
their
That's why I brought
Dragon's
up the ground
relative
track view.
position to the International Space Station.
I want to make a note there that they're using those touchscreens with their spacesuit gloves on. Pretty good touchscreens.
You could sort of make out the IROSAs as well. These are the International Space Station
Gold.
rollout solar arrays.
Very good.
It's part of a power augmentation plan aboard the station. You can see the solar arrays come
A lot
in
of loot
pairs
crates
in
in
each of the
real life,
power
you know what I'm
channels. And if you can see, there's a gap, a solid black line in between
Yeah, try playing
some of the
KSP
legacy
with a
solar
glove. I
arrays.
don't-
That
with
means that they
boxing
haven't
gloves
been
on,
outfitted
right?
with an IROSA, but ones that are filled in with just a little bit of that illumination.
So right now is about where they'd stop if they were doing a V-bar approach. See these two obelisk-looking things right here? Those are your runways for the docking ports. That's your approach corridor right there. So this is the V-bar approach, or velocity bar approach, and that's the radial bar approach, or R-bar. If they were going to stop for a V-bar approach, they would be stopping right around here, and then they would zip right in. But I don't think they can get to that port because Endurance, the Crew-5 Dragon, is already docked there. So they're going to keep going up, and they're going to go line up with an R-bar approach. So at one point here, Dragon's cameras will show a picture of the ISS with the Earth behind it, which that's what I want. That's what I want to see here. Oh, I got some islands down there, I think. When'd you get interested in space? Jackson, I've always liked space. If that, for what it's worth, I never really thought
A
it was
little bit of
smart.
overexposure on the external camera.
I never really thought I was smart enough to do it when I was younger. I thought, I'm never going to be able to do something like that. I'm going to play a lot of video games instead. And then after I graduated college, I said, wait, I just graduated college with a computer animation degree. Why did I think I wasn't smart enough to do this? So I've been learning about it ever since, and the drive and hunger for learning more about space, you know, I started streaming. I got a game called Kerbal Space Program like over a decade ago at this point, and yeah, I just started streaming it, and here I am. I just kind of teach people about what's going on with space stuff. Learned a lot over like a decade. I've been doing this for a long time, dude. Yeah, I've liked space as long as I can remember, man. How wrong you were. Yeah, it's a shame it ended all, but still playing video games though. Grinding out Counter-Strike in high school really paid off. All right. Yeah. Nice. Plus, there you go. Does the ISS need a person in it to work? Yes, Tweet. Yeah, you need people on board. We're all glad you stopped playing Counter-Strike. Forlorn, I was pretty good at Counter-Strike. I'm not going to lie to you. I was pretty damn good at it. Bad Harry Jag, 15-month resub. But breaking things is easy. I like building things. Building things takes more skill. Like building this takes more skill. Were you Cal I? No, Cookie Clicker. So I spent 2 seasons in Cal O, and then 1 IM, and then Cal Maine. Yeah, I stopped. I stopped during mid-season in Cal Maine because I decided to go to college instead. Man, when you say it like that. Yeah, dude, I was pretty damn good at Counter-Strike Source, dude. Dude, quick switching with the op is muscle memory. I'll show you guys sometime. I'm damn good at it. Just, you know? 435 headshot right to the dome. Body armor, that means nothing. Hey, Artful, what's going on? How you doing? What's going? I mean, we're just chilling, watching getting some sweet views here. Like that RCS outgassing right there. That's pretty neat.
The docking axis.
Doing well. How are you? Hey, I can't complain.
We should start to.
You know, we watched the Crew-6 launch yesterday, and then the T-Tab scrub. T-Tab do be like that. Damn filters. Oh, look at that thing. But yeah, now we're just watching Crew-6 get up there. NASA had the lead engineer, like the NASA lead Dragon engineer on there, and he's like, "Oh yeah, the filter jammed too early." I'm like, "Why did the filter jam too early?" He didn't. But then they didn't ask that question, so whoops. I like how you stream all day and I can join at whatever point and figure out what's going on. Beer King, that's what I do. That's what I do. Remember the best time I ever had in CS? You save up for an M60. It's a saw actually in Counter Strike. You know. Don't buy Fram.
Yeah, propellant that is very different from the.
What did you do in
propellant
KSP
used on
today?
board
We came back
Falcon
from
9.
Duna, Mauser.
Dragon is actually fueled
And then I
up
showed people
with,
how
that
Rendezvous works.
MMH and NTO,
I showed people how
a
Rendezvous
couple
works here.
weeks prior to
so
launch in a
we can actually see it
facility
done.
that we call Area 59 or Dragonland. Down
You had a couple of theories, but I'm not sure what it was. It's actually really nice just watching it from afar. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Aside from cargo loading,
The engineer was saying like it was out of. He's like, oh, you know, they've never failed this quick before, and I'm just like, what kind of filter was that? Was it the same filter that you put in there before? Like, that's when the thing goes off. I'm like, no, don't. Why? We got to figure that out now, you know.
they won't combust. You need a spark, and that's what we use T-Tab for.
Oh, speaking of.
But we don't want or need a spark whenever we have that MMH and NTO. So it's a really important spaceflight propellant, basically, that has a lot of power.
Kate's talking about the thrusters on Dragon. The thrusters on Dragon are using hypergolic propellants, meaning they don't need a spark plug. The hypergolic propellants, when they touch each other, the liquid fuel and oxidizer, when they hit each other, they explode. How fast are they going, dog? So Dragon right now is going about 17,500 miles an hour. They're up about 270 mile circular orbit. In metric, 27,500 kilometers an hour, somewhere in there. And they're 410 kilometers up. You need to be going pretty fast to stay in orbit. That's why I like spacecraft, because they go faster than anything. So Dragon's RCS is hypergolic. Yes, Ivan. Yeah, it's a hypergolic system. They're using Draco motors, which, I mean, Draco motors are like, it's a little more complicated than this, but it's a pressure-fed hypergol system. The reason why they use that as opposed to like something with a turbo pump, for instance, is because that's simple. That is simple. They have helium tanks that are shooting helium into the liquid fuel and oxidizer tanks. And keep in mind, this is a very, very simplified version of how this works, but this is simple for a spaceship. Helium tanks are shooting into the fuel tank and oxidizer tank, and they squeeze it. It might use a fuel bladder. I don't know. It really depends. Nice shot. and those go to the thrusters, and the thrusters have fuel injectors on them. They're similar to a fuel injector that you'd find from like on a car. It's not the same thing. It's a cool aerospace grade fuel injector, but it's basically what it is. It's 2 fuel injectors, and when they fire it, when the computer commands the thing to fire, it just clicks the solenoids open, and then it shoots the hypergalls into the combustion chamber of the Draco, and pops out. That's what you see. You see that little outgassing thing. Is metric better? Metric's easier, way easier. I don't care. My measuring system to me doesn't matter. That is about as simple as you can get. So the other thing is that, you know, with the hypergallic thrusters, you don't need to worry about boil off. Hypergalls don't really decompose because it's monomethyl hydrazine and nitrogen tetroxide. They don't really decompose in space. So your fuel could stay fuel on a spacecraft for a long time. Unlike Falcon 9 has those densified propellants, and, you know, when we watched it launch the other day, it's just condensing all over the place. There's ice falling off of it like crazy because the liquid oxygen will eventually boil off. That doesn't happen with hypergalls. I mean, not too much. You can't leave them up there for like a really long time, but you can leave them up there for a pretty damn long time. What's that, Pythos? Oh, that sucks. I didn't want to see that. This man is a wealth of knowledge. Bravo, sir. Thank you, Artful. That's pretty damn high praise coming from you. Thank you. Yeah, Artful. I'm
with Dragon to position the heat seal.
You know, I report on space news, but I read too much. This is my favorite. No. I mean, I don't know if this book will teach you about pressure-fed stuff. It might be in there. I don't know. I'd have to go look. But that book's fun. I read that for fun, to read about different fuel delivery systems, because I am a nerd, and probably I'd rope dork in there as well, like maybe even a little geek. Kind of, all those things kind of melded together. Link, please. That book is called Modern Engineering for Design of Liquid Propellant Rocket Engines by Dieter Husel and David Huang. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's a great book. Holy trio, nerd, dork, geek. Yeah, something like that. Something like that.
To talk to each other.
So, actually, the cool thing about it is the hypergallic system that the RCS uses on Dragon, that can go to the Super Dracos. So you remember, guys, yesterday, if you watched Crew-6 with me, they were talking about arming the launch escape system and making sure that the hypergallic tanks are working. That same hypergall system can go to the launch escape system, you know, in the event of a launch escape during a launch. I know, great choice of words, EJ. So they actually shut that off, and the launch escape system, after Dragon is made into space, they shut it out, and it can't turn back on. It's a lockout thing. So the fuel tanks for the launch escape system also power the RCS. That right there. See that? Is it a picture? There are pictures in there, Dirty, but it's a lot of math. Sorry, can you type it in chat? Let me find the link. You guys want to nerd out? Get this book right here. I'll post the link in chat. Oh. Excuse me. Just
Reused capsule. So while we did replace the exterior thermal protection system, that TPS, this capsule, this is actually the 4th time that it has been to space, been to the International Space Station.
Yeah, it's the 4th time.
I have
Listen
such
to
love
Kate.
in my heart
Kate's
for
cool.
this particular capsule, being the Demo 2 capsule that NASA astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley flew in to prove the capability of the Crew Dragon.
Sorry, I zoned out.
So it's just incredible to see it heading to the International Space Station once again. That was almost exactly.
Duroc, that book
2
is sick,
years
dude.
ago,
I love
believe.
I love reading. I read that book for
I know,
fun
I guess they
sometimes
launched
after
in,
stream
I think it was
because,
May
yeah, like I
2020.
said, dork.
But the fact that it's been to the ISS now on its 4th trip in 2 years is pretty incredible. Also having been there carrying the Crew-2 crew as well as the Axiom 1 crew to the International Space Station. So it's pretty cool to see Dragon Endeavour fly again.
So, cool thing. Capsule looking crispy. Yeah, right, Nashi? Hell yeah. Cool thing, guys. So, you see these little slits right there that go all the way around the docking port? Those are the drive hooks for the docking port for what's called the International Docking System Standard, or NASA Docking System. You can kind of interchange the name. But SpaceX and like Starliner, for instance, have similar docking ports, and they dock to similar ports on the space station, right? The drive hooks there for SpaceX took this thing to the next level. That's the drive hooks. So those things it's like a little hook in the slit, and it comes out and it locks into the space station, so they can hard capture, so they can seal that thing together. The cool thing about it is the nose cone. See, the nose cone has the hooks in it too. The nose cone on Dragon, when it's doing entry, descent, and landing, or if it's going up, has the nose cone obviously retracted, right? And it uses the docking port hooks to hook the nose cone in place and keep it secure, which actually, I don't know, that's really cool. Really smart engineering. See, if you look at the inside of the nose cone, the inner rim of the nose cone, it has the receiving end for the hooks. So when the nose cone folds back up, the docking port will latch to it. So Dragon docks to itself? No, I mean, yes, it does. But that's how they hold the nose cone. They use the docking port drive mechanism to hold the port in place. I always thought that's really cool. That's really smart. Same vessel interaction. Yep. Sounds like Kraken tech. It's true. Some pretty snazzy mechanical engineering, if I do say so myself. So, do you know something about the reaction wheels collapsing or something like this? I know they're not powerful, but I don't know how they actually collapse. Play KSP1 RSS, and you have just a reference of my knowledge. Oh, you're an RSS player, Gonzi. Well, more power to you, man. I tip my cap. Gyroscopes can saturate, but it depends. It depends, like what you're doing. If they saturate, they basically can't spin any faster, and you can completely lose control of the system. Now, if you're using a gyroscope for yaw, pitch, and roll, to maintain yaw, pitch, and roll, they can saturate if basically you try to move too fast in one direction, but you're really screwed if you're using it for inertial navigation. You're really screwed because then the spacecraft won't be able to figure out where it is. Basically, if it spins too fast, it reaches basically red line and it can't spin anymore. Your spacecraft will start not being able to figure out what the heck's going on. That's bad. You don't want that. They had to deal with that during the Apollo program. Now, don't get me wrong, inertial guidance has gotten a little bit better over the years, but yeah, you don't want them to saturate. Saturate is basically when you hit the RPM limit. It'll gimbal lock out, and you're basically screwed. They're using MechJeb. Actually, Kimbo, they're using something like it. Dragon has its own systems on board called the C2V2. Basically, it has eyes on it. They're using Mech Elon, basically. No. And it's looking for the port on the ISS. Believe it or not, the receiving end for Dragon Eyes. Actually, I forget if it's called C2V2. I think C2V2 and Dragon Eyes are the same thing. Now I'm confusing myself. Anyway, it's called Dragon Eyes. Fun fact: Dragon Eyes was delivered by the space shuttle. The space shuttle delivered a SpaceX payload on one of the last missions, and they installed Dragon Eyes on it so all the SpaceX capsules that would be coming up in the future could find the space station. So in the YouTube feed, it says it'll dock in roughly 23 minutes. Yep. Will it really take 23 minutes to finish the sequence? Yeah. M. Taylor, you got to go slow. You got to go slow and take your time, dude. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. The way I like to describe spaceflight to people is it's like playing Tetris, dude. It's like playing Tetris. You kind of have to be very methodical with what you're doing, and you don't really win. You just kind of get better at it. But it's really, really easy to screw up. So going slow pays off. That's what I'm trying to say. Going slow really pays off. Yes, airborne. Mech-Elon. They're using Mech-Elon. Or is it Mech-Gwen? If you understand the reference, you understand the reference. If you know, you know. Is it Mech-Gwen? It could be Mech-Gwen. You don't know. Also, I was lurking earlier and heard you talk about For All Mankind. Binge the first 3 episodes. Pretty good show. M. Taylor, I think season 1 of For All Mankind is fantastic. Just T-spin it? Yeah. Spinning is always a good trick.
Again, from Mission Control in Houston, the flight control team here, led by Flight Director Pooja Jasrani, is poised to accept the arrival of the Crew Dragon Endeavour. Everything has gone swimmingly so far here. As
That's
flight
the hatch right
controllers
there. You
have
see the
checked
window.
out all of the
See
systems
right into the
on
crew
board
tank.
the International Space Station. Flight engineers Josh
Expanse is
Cassidy
great,
and
McFunk,
Nicole
yeah.
Mann are monitoring the approach of Crew Dragon Endeavour for its
Yeah,
final
Farkey.
leg on the road.
Farkey, that happens. Space is a rabbit hole, and if the space bug gets you, then you're kind of screwed. Dude, it bit me like 13, 14 years ago. I can't get enough of this stuff. I still love watching rocket launches just as much as the first time I saw one go. Like, I'm just like, yeah, I like this. Should be moving to waypoint 2 now? Yeah. Artful, yeah. She's almost to waypoint 2. They're almost, yeah, see right there? They're like, I don't know, 80% of the way there. Waypoint 2 with the R-bar line, and they're going to go on to the Nader port on Harmony. I swear the guy closest to you was on Twitch. I don't know. Anybody watching? Here, let me take a look. Where am I now? Damn it! It was cool while it lasted.
Here, everything's looking good from the International Space Station Flight Control. We're back here.
There's
in
the 2
Hawthorne,
windows right there, and
monitoring
there's the
the
forward
action of
hatch
the Dragon,
window.
Now 250 meters from the International Space Station. We're heading towards waypoint 1. This is directly in front of the docking
Plus,
port,
he's in the
where
computer?
Crew Dragon Endeavour, Crew-6 astronaut, and
Yeah, that's
cosmonaut
probably it,
will
Ender.
be arriving
Cronus
here
is screwing
shortly.
with me.
Following along on the action.
So right
About
there, that's
24
the
hours since
window
liftoff.
in there. You can see right
Yesterday.
in.
It's about it's about a 24-hour journey to get to this point.
Yep. Almost
Throughout that
aligned
journey,
with the R bar
Dragon
for the
has been
station, the
executing a
radial
series
out
of
bar.
missions to get incrementally closer to the International Space Station. Crew inside were able to have several.
Dude, if we could get a
meals and
onboard
8-hour
from
sleep
Dragon right
period,
now, looking at the ISS, that would be
where,
great.
They started their preparations to get ready for the dynamic
If you could just
operations
go
to get
ahead
suited
and
up in
come in
those white
tomorrow.
suits that you see now that we're
Hi,
getting
Woody.
views from inside the
What's
Dragon cabin
happening?
over the shoulder camera. Steve Bowen on the left of your screen.
Oh, thank you.
Woodward on the right.
Hey, they did it.
And this is the live view from Dragon Endeavour.
Yeah, that doesn't
That's
suck.
camera as
That's
we
a pretty
make our
good
way
shot.
up. You can see very
Dragon
close.
SpaceX
Frick,
on the
man.
loop. Approach 1 and soft capture ring extension will begin shortly.
Okay.
Dragon will continue to approach to waypoint 2.
There you go, kid. Now,
Tracking copy is all good
Yeah.
news. Thank you.
that does happen like that, doesn't it?
That
Ever
call
see
out
Strange
coming
Angels?
from
Jack Parsons,
SpaceX
so fun.
Crew David Huang.
I think so.
Letting the
Dirty.
crew know everything's
Yeah,
tracking well.
Mickle, yeah, you ain't wrong, dude. How big is the ISS in meters? Farkey, it's about as big as a soccer pitch or a football pitch. I don't know, like about 100 meters. 100 meters across. It's a big station, dude. Yeah. It's big. It is a big piece of equipment, dude. I had the pleasure of going to the ESA, going to ESTEC, the European Space Agency Technology, Experimental Technology and Design Center, and they had a mock-up of that module right there.
Go and throttle up.
They had a mock-up of Columbus. Holy balls, dude. Columbus was kind of sitting there, and it's a pretty big port, and then it has the docking port in it, and you could it's a mock-up, so you could go in. I had to go up a flight of stairs to get up to a height that I could walk into the docking port. That's how big these things are. These modules are gigantic. Heck, Dragon's bigger than you think it is. It is not small. think like, I don't know, it's like as big as a pretty big cargo container, like a TEU or something. It's pretty big for just a 4-person capsule. It's a monster. I mean, Dragon's a big capsule to begin with because it doesn't have any service module. The service module is built into the capsule for reuse. The trunk that it has on the back with the wings on it, that has solar panels and the radiators on it, so it can generate power by itself because it doesn't have any fuel cells. But yeah, most of the service module is actually crammed into the capsule. That's why Dragon kind of has an oblong shape. But yeah, look, you can see Dragon Endurance right there. That's the Crew-5 capsule. All right. Now what they're doing is they're at waypoint 1. They're aligning with the R-bar of the station, basically hitting that parking space right before they go into dock.
Dragon approach and retreat monitoring. Let us know when your review is complete
Right.
and
Right,
you're ready
Vulcan?
for docking.
Yeah,
And a reminder for Duke,
Razi, ciao,
begin
come
monitoring
stai?
for MLMTC restarts at this time.
SpaceX tracking copies. We'll get that review in work.
Why is it called Crew-6?
Station copies, and we're in work on 1.102.
Oh, the nose cone was flapping around there. You see that? So basically, what they did when they got to waypoint 1, you saw Dragon outgas. If we want to speak in kind of real general terms, what Dragon just did was circularize its orbit above the ISS. And what it's going to do now is just going to move in. The docking port that it's aiming for is the Node 2 Zenith International Docking Adapter. It's right there. It's in the glare. You can't see it right now, but it's right there. It's right perpendicular to where the Crew-5 Dragon is. See, Crew-5 Dragon is on the it was on the V-bar alignment, so it's down here. Crew-5 Dragon's here. Crew-6 is coming in this way. And what they're going to do, see, right there, Dragon is doing maneuvers. It's firing the RCS, and it's ironing out its trajectory to circularize right above the space station. It's circularizing right outside of the keep-out sphere. So basically, it's going to station keep there for a second until they initiate approach, and then it's going to fly basically down this line right on the center, and it's going to make its way right to Node 2. Yeah, see the nose bouncing around? And we're all watching this being streamed to our computers like it's no big deal. Yeah, Vulcan, that just blows my mind, man. Isn't the max that you can have 7? Dragon could carry 7, but right now it's really configured for 4 and cargo. Oh. Is it supposed to move that much, the nose cone? Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. See? Look, the thrusters are firing. And watch, you see the thrusters firing, and then if you look on the MFD on Dragon between Woody and Steve here, you could see the trajectory being changed from the RCS. That's cool. That's my favorite. That is so freaking cool, dude. You can see when it pulses its thrusters, the freaking line changes. Bro. This is sick, man. So freaking cool. Jeffrey, thanks, buddy. Oh, they're zoomed in on the front of Dragon right there. Yep, you can see the drive hooks for the IDSS right there. Yep, they're initiating approach now.
And the training that the crew goes through while they are in
Checklist.
the training modules here in Hawthorne, California, actually includes audio
Vulcan's beast.
from previous missions. So as the Dragon is breathing, is living around them as it steers itself to the International Space Station, they are able to come into the situation well prepared, not startled.
Yeah, you could see it
and
off
it
the
also
glass
allows them
forlorn. See
to
that?
basically know what nominal is for each portion of their flight.
That's so baller, dude.
This is a great view we're seeing. It's on the right, we have the station cameras looking at Dragon during its approach. Dragon is making its way to waypoint 2, which is a 20-meter mark. We're
Right,
about approximately 150 meters and
mode.
closing.
Freaking
It is a
beast
slow
mode.
and methodical approach. We're also seeing views from
A lot of people in the
inside
cafeteria.
the cabin. In that center screen, you can see they're tracking the trajectory. The flight computer is also calculating different breakout maneuvers should they need them. But again, we have teams all over monitoring. We have the crew inside Dragon, the crew inside the International Space Station, and flight control teams in Hawthorne and Houston. Everything's looking good.
So yeah, that's a good question. Why does it look like it's looping around? Basically, if they don't keep, they have to keep kind of pulsing the thrusters to get it to keep going down. If they just let Dragon do its thing right now, it has to keep firing its thrusters to keep going in at this approach. If they let it go and Dragon just went dead stick, it would fall away. That's what that curved line is. It's its trajectory if they just kind of stopped. Yeah, it would fall that way for the most part. Okay, why do the noises scare me? The noises in the background are because Gary and Kate, the two casters here, are they're at Hawthorne. They're in Hawthorne, California, at SpaceX's factory, where they make Falcon 9 second stages, first stages, fairings, engines, stuff like that. And they're on the mezzanine. They're literally in the cafeteria. That's where they broadcast from. The cafeteria is like 2 levels. There's like a bottom level, and then there's a balcony. It's kind of cool. The first Dragon capsule that SpaceX ever got back is hanging next to the balcony. Sometimes you can see it in the background. And then there's a Merlin vac and a landing leg in there. And then kind of opposite the cafeteria is mission control. You can see the cafeteria in the background when they show the mission control screens. It's behind the glass on the left side. And on the upper level is where they broadcast from. So if it sounds like a cafeteria, you hear like people like plates and trays and stuff, it's because it is. I read that as the nose cone. Oh, there you
Gyros,
no problem.
And different thrusters on the station side.
My first week of work, the guy onboarding me was like, "Let's go take a pic with the rocket body at SpaceX's place."
Loads of the spacecraft.
Yeah, they have 1019 at Hawthorne, and it's available for public display. It's just behind some glass, but at SpaceX's HQ, they have the first booster. I saw that booster land, dude. I was there. I was down the Cape that month, which was cool. It's freaking there. I saw that thing come right out of the sky and land. It was the wildest thing I've ever seen. Until February of 2018, when I saw 2 of them come out of the air. But that was good too. Yeah. Will the docking happen above the U.S.? I'm not sure, UD. Maybe. We're about 10 minutes out from docking. They're gonna stop one last time here when they're about 20 meters away from the docking port, just to make sure everything's good, and then they'll initiate final docking sequence. And as long as the computer takes the thing in just fine, when they're about 2 to 3 meters out, the crew will call CHOP, crew hands off position, and 12:43 or 43 past the hour is when we're looking at a dock here. Yeah, Shady. I've seen that thing up close. I've walked up to 1019. I had the pleasure going to Hawthorne one time, and dude, you got to go see one of these. If you live in Southern California, go to Hawthorne and go look at booster 1019, the Orbcomm 2 booster. You'll see how big the thing is, and then it kind of clicks in your head that SpaceX lands these things every week. No problem. And they land them on a barge just out in the middle of the ocean. Whatever. It's an autonomous spaceport drone ship, not a barge. Don't call it a barge. It has propulsion. But also, what the frick, man? Thing's as tall as a 15-story building. It just comes down from space and lands. All right, fine. All right, cool. I made my bed today, bro. Like. So there. How do you feel about that? Try quick save, quick load, lunchbox guys. Save a lot. That should fix it, dude. But other than that, I'm not sure.
This is more of a pause. At the 20-meter mark, there's going to be a reconfiguration, and then the Dragon will proceed in for a slow and incremental approach to make contact with the international docking adapter. But you heard across the board.
And you know what the nuttiest part about this is? This is like old news for SpaceX. You should see what they're cooking up now, guys. Starship and Super Heavy are insane. They're insane. I freaking love it. It's gonna be amazing. Yes, catch that motherfucking thing. Do it. Do it. Do it, Anakin. Do it. I think it's gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope. I love space shuttles, so Starship is like space shuttle on steroids. Yeah, I'll take it. That's fine with me. We should make more. We should make a lot of those.
On screen, we can see those.
So stop in position right here.
Thrusters continuing to fire.
They're just kind of chilling at least they should chill for a moment. Or that was the resume. They may have resumed there. Just do it. Yeah, right, submitted. It's nuts. Do you think it'll dock with the ISS? I don't know, Apollo. Maybe. Maybe. I would say fat chance, but it's possible. So see, the soft capture mechanism on the IDSS is extended. That thing is basically a shock absorber. That ring is on a gigantic shock, so when Dragon hits the space station, the pedals locate the soft capture mechanism, and then it'll absorb the shock, and Dragon will kind of bounce around for a second.
Inside 40 meters.
There you go, Bill. Right on.
I was just about to say that
too,
angle
Shady, me too.
of being able to see Dragon there. You can see that soft capture ring.
I mean, it would be cool to see it at the ISS, but I don't think we need to send it there. I think Starship will do fine being its own space station. Personally, I do kind of want Starship to go get Hubble, but that's like EJ's crazy pipe dreams, you know.
Kind of makes it a little bit
we
smoother
need that
of
back.
a process.
We need that back. Bring it back.
We are entering into a short handover period from some of the tracking and data relay satellites that are providing views from the space station. Fingers crossed
I don't
we
think
get video.
I don't think Rook's going to bring it back
docking.
down,
There is a
Mauser, but I
chance
think
that we
he's
will
going
lose them.
to.
It's not a constraint to proceed with docking. Lighting is a bigger factor. But some of the incremental drops that you're seeing as part of our coverage is
What
the
a shot, man.
tracking and data relay satellites.
Did
that are
Kerbal
providing
2
the video that you're seeing right
Did
now.
Kerbal 2 nail the lighting or what? When a spaceship is up in space, the side that's in darkness it's dark.
Confirmation that
It's
Dragon has
advanced
arrived
darkness.
at waypoint 2. As predicted, it's going to pause and reconfigure for its approach 2.
That nose cone do be moving around though. Did
pause will
KSP2
be
nail
very,
it or
very
what?
brief.
Frickin' the advanced darkness on one side and the other side is almost washed out. They nailed it. That's exactly what it looks like.
Investigating.
This is live, Emery. What was that? Hold on a second. I'm rewinding.
We see your docking hook's not open. Warning. Investigating.
Uh-oh.
So you heard that as part of those checks that we need to give the go. Even though they pulled go, we're going to continue to check all the systems on board Dragon before actually proceeding.
Station Houston on the big loop. Dragon is going to hold here.
This is why there's waypoint 2, guys. That's why there's waypoint 2. So they can check for stuff like this.
This is built into the procedures,
See?
Doing an incremental series of checks. It looks like we were looking at the hooks to make sure those hooks are the ones that are actually going to drive and create what's called a hard capture.
Taylor, it
Of
depends.
the
They gotta
Dragon
figure
to
out
the
why they're not
International
working.
Space Station. It secures the Dragon firmly to the station to allow for the next series of very important
That's right,
steps
Shady.
of pressurization and equalization. There's a vestibule that separates the Dragon from the International Space Station. They're both pressurized for humans to be able to successfly live aboard and actually enter.
Okay, so Artful, you know there's the 2 drive motors in there. So guys, you know how I said that the docking port latches to the nose cone? There's a primary and a secondary drive motor. When Dragon opened its nose cone on orbit yesterday, the primary drive motor wasn't working, and they said they would test the drive motor on docking. They would test the primary drive motor on docking. That might be what they're doing right now. If not, there is a secondary drive motor that they know works. The reason why they know it works is because the nose cone opened. They wouldn't have been able to open the nose cone if they couldn't undrive the hooks. So I think they might be just screwing around with the primary motor to see what's wrong.
That hook 5 microswitch issue that we had, and ground is going to be investigating commands and next steps, and we'll come back with more words.
Yeah. Here, let me rewind that.
And SpaceX Dragon, go ahead on the big loop.
Hey Steve, as you can see, Dragon is holding here at waypoint 2. This is due to that hook 5 microswitch issue that we had, and ground is going to be investigating commands and next steps, and we'll come back with more words.
Shoot that the hook alarm that they noticed.
So they said that they'd test it, guys, during docking. So if the number 5 switch, the number 5 hook motor is not doing its thing, they'll switch to the secondary one and go from there.
A single source,
at least I think,
from SpaceX Mission Control. It's that core. Obviously, different personnel than it was 24 hours ago because we utilize shifts.
Yeah, you need all of them, Shady.
That core is
don't risk the leak.
Basically the person that is responsible for communicating all things to the crew from SpaceX Mission Control.
No, Emery, not really.
Very similar. There's a view there. That's David Huang now.
You can do 11 out of 12
and
nervous.
it's very
Good
similar
to
to NASA's Capcom at JSC. That person's the point person to basically make decisions on distilling all the technical information that they are receiving from the launch teams if it is launch day, or now the docking teams as we are getting ready to dock.
There's
and
a toilet
really
on board.
Distill the critical information, relay it up to the crew, and get their feedback if it is one of those scenarios.
Justice, that's kind of the nuclear option. If the hooks really don't work and the secondaries really don't work, yeah, just back away, come back down.
So once again,
but
Dragon
they're going to try everything they need.
Waypoint 2.
They're going to try everything that they can to not have that happen.
Space Station. They're well within the keep out sphere. As we said before, that it's an imaginary sphere around the space station, measuring about 200
meters. It's only
meters
a sensor nervous?
all around.
Okay.
And so we are only 20 meters away from the space station, partially why we have a great view of Dragon as it is now holding there while the teams investigate.
In the meantime, you can see the views of the Dragon. They're going to start to get incrementally darker. We're entering into an orbital nighttime over the South Pacific Ocean now, Dragon and International Space.
Tyler, they would only do that if they absolutely needed to get on the space station. They would. That's when you start getting fancy, all right? But guys, yeah. So I mean, Nervous brought up a good point. You got it. Is the sensor bad, or is the motor working? Is the motor really broken, or is the sensor broken? Is the data that you're getting good? Is the telemetry that you're getting good? That's what they're trying to figure out right now. So, depending on whether you can isolate the problem and figure it out that depends on then you choose your contingency from there. Basically, figure out what's going on before you do something dumb. That's the right way to say that.
Some of the troubleshooting steps to make sure that we are going to proceed past waypoint 2 in for a docking. Hook number 5 during ascent was the one, if you recall, that was the hook that was identified as part of the delay in the nose cone opening.
Yep.
It is a software that they're looking at right now. So it's just a reconfiguration. They were able to open up that nose cone, of course, and a very important milestone because it reveals those forward bulkhead Dracos that got us to where we are right now. So the teams will just continue to assess, make sure we're in a good config before giving the go to proceed.
See, there's the cafeteria back there.
Live view there of SpaceX Mission Control here in Hawthorne, just right behind Gary and myself.
There's the Dragon and there's the
Once again, we are holding at waypoint 2, about 20 meters away from the International Space Station. This will be the final hold prior to docking once that go is given. But at this point in time, as Gary said, the teams on the ground are doing a little investigation, some troubleshooting for that hook number 5. As we mentioned before, it's the hooks are what basically
they can chill there for a little while.
Dock the capsule to the station. And there was an issue noted on it during the nose cone open yesterday. So the teams are troubleshooting it and working toward next steps to relay to the crew.
This is not looking good. So
we'll stand by for that. Should we proceed
don't panic, fellas.
With a contact and capture, you're going to hear a series of call-outs as we make our way towards the International Docking Adapter. You heard this as part of the relay to the crew. Before we even got to waypoint 2, one of the commands was crew hands off point. You're going to hear that when the crew is just meters away from the international docking adapter. They're going to call out chop. That just means that the crew keep your hands off of the abort button, because the Dragon will do its job automatically, and that's built into the procedure, so you'll hear that call out chop should they proceed with contact.
Go and throttle up.
So, Joe, the Octaweb is cool. The Octaweb, that's a Falcon 9 thrust structure that those guys are working on back there. It's up on a huge lift. That's cool, but I always thought the mandrels for making the fairings that they have over there that's gnarly, dude. That whole thing going on in there is crazy. How fairings are made is nuts.
And SpaceX Dragon, go ahead.
Ground is still working on investigating a path forward. The docking system is configured as expected, but believe we will require a software override to continue with docking. Vehicle is healthy, no crew actions at this time. Over 2 hours of hold time margin at waypoint 2. Copy.
They can hold for a little while. Yeah, Voyager, that's right, it is. It's like the mag point.
SpaceX Dragon copies all. We'll be waiting.
It's Hawthorne, full staff 24/7. 3 shifts, Nick. Oh, yeah. And it's been like that for a long time,
so,
dude.
A quick recap.
Station Houston on the big loop.
Go ahead, Houston.
Hey, Josh, we expect you guys to be in Block Delta, Step 3 or 4 of your approach and retreat monitoring at this time.
And station copies.
A reminder, this is joint operations.
And Josh, on the big loop with you, just to clarify, 3 Delta or 4, but not the sub 4 within Delta.
I have no idea what that means. Yeah, I don't know. If it is software, they can send an update? They'll override it. Yep. It's the sequencing side of the software, mismatch on data.
David. Yep, we're staring at step 4.
Automation BS, I don't think it's a big deal. Yep. Yeah. If it's software, then that's the easy part. If something mechanically is broken, then we got a problem. But I don't think that's what's going on.
And the International Space Station flight controller on the right. On the left, the core, David Huang, talking with the crew aboard Dragon Endeavour. Everybody working together to monitor the approach. You heard the calls on the right, on the station side. Josh Cassada, that was called the Rendezvous Proximity Operations Panel. His job is to monitor the approach of Dragon Endeavour. In the meantime, the crew aboard Dragon is standing by for the flight controllers to reconfigure the software as they relayed up to the crew to make sure that those hooks are in a good configuration.
Mechanically, you'd have faults in firmware feedback. Issue would make itself known fairly clearly. There you go. Yeah, I mean, Artfield, the way I look at it is that okay, guys, so this you want a little thing about how you do space flight, all right? This is how you do space flight. NASA nor SpaceX would not let that capsule anywhere near the station if they weren't sure that they could get it to dock somehow. You know, you don't want to get into get a guy with a rope and pull it in. If you got to that point, you failed. You failed hard, all right? That Apollo 13 stuff, doing I don't know what it's designed to do. I want to know how good it can do. That you do that. You go cavalier and kind of shoot from the hip when the crap hits the fan. And even then, you have to be pretty methodical about it, right? It's funny. It's when the Apollo 13 movie came out. Nobody believed it. They thought it was fake because they're like, oh, this is so unrealistic. But it's actually a true story. That's a testament to flight controllers, and how that kind of stuff works. You really, really shouldn't ever shoot from the hip like that. If they had any inkling that they could not get that capsule to the station, they wouldn't have put it near the station. That's how you got to go about thinking. You're trying to minimize risk as much as you can. You don't want to get into a scenario where you have to send a guy out there and he has to shoot a harpoon at Dragon and pull the damn thing in. You don't even want to get to that point. Try as hard as you can to never get there.
National Space Station out in front, and we're
Emery.
to the Zenith port today. This is the space-facing side, so you can see if you follow that line, 8.2, more than 20 meters right in front of.
Dendel Artful is a bartender.
So we're inside
A very good one at that.
The 20-meter hold point again is perfectly fine to hold at this point. We reviewed that.
How'd the docking go? They haven't gotten there yet, Super. They had a little bit of a software fault with the latching mechanism.
Built into the procedures to allow us to work the software issue before proceeding for docking.
You throw me the idol. Give me the rope. The idol. Give me the idol. Adios, amigo. Okana Mapusu. Mufasa. Sorry. Think you could throw an Indiana Jones reference past me? Hell no. Hell no. I love that
The views will vary throughout our coverage as we continue to monitor this hold at 20 meters.
I hope not.
Tracking and data relay satellites from a board station providing views of Dragon holding. We'll be going through several different
Nice,
passes, so
I wouldn't do that either.
Regaining
Get Princess
those
Leia out
shortly.
and have her start pushing. Maybe
We'll be
she'll use the
monitoring
forks
lighting
or
conditions.
something. So how big's the castle?
SpaceX
Capsule?
on Dragon ground.
Semi-truck.
Status.
About a semi-truck.
Discovery, go at
It's a
throttle.
big capsule. Semi-truck with a sleeper. All right, hold on a second.
Dragon switching, go ahead.
Hey, just wanted to give you an update that we have a set of software commands that we are currently testing. We expect feedback soon, but also want to offer that if you prefer to open your visors, you are allowed to.
Oh, you're paying it back, I see, huh? You guys are paying it back, huh?
Okay, thanks. Copy. I've got a software fix in work, in testing now, and we're going to open visors.
Okay. Yeah, they're opening their
Good feedback.
visors, so it's going to be a second before they fix the software. But we had a middle ditch raid right there. We had a middle ditch, middle twitch raid. Guys, I need raids with emotes like this. All right? Like this. Or like this. This is not the raid of a billionaire. You know what I have? I have a freaking raid
All right, for
with
those
doors that open
just
like
tuning into our
this.
coverage, Crew-6 and Dragon Endeavor are holding about 20 meters right in front
What's going on,
of
guys?
the docking port. As they made
Thank you
their
very
way
much
in,
for the raid.
at
Tell
the
tell
waypoint
Middle
two, there
Ditch
was a
thank you very
30-second
much.
Pause built into
Thank you for
the
raiding me
Dragon
back.
SpaceX
That was
on
fun
the big
raiding
loop
him. I
for
had fun
status.
watching.
We'll just hold for this call.
Hey, there he is. What's going on, buddy? You like that raid before? No, dude. Dude, you didn't need to pay me back. It's all good, man. Don't worry about it. But thank you, though. I do appreciate it. Gus, what's going on, man? I love that. I never knew I could feel so powerful. Yeah. I wonder, Middle Dish, what Miss Rowe would think of all that kind of power right there. I think she'd be pretty dang jealous of all that power. You know what I mean? I think she'd be pretty dang jealous. She may actually be here. Oh God, this is weird now. She's here. Oh, hi. I'm gonna leave now. Bye. Run. Bees, what's going on? Oh man. So guys, if you guys ever watch Silicon Valley? So
Discovery.
the guy that plays Richard Hendricks, he streams on Twitch. He just raided us. He's Middle Ditch has been doing some Red Dead Redemption RP, and it's damn funny, dude. I would very, very, very much say go over there and give a sub and a follow. It's funny stuff, man. It makes me laugh. Pro Lurgy, thank you for the sub. Sorry, I'm cracking up over here.
Once again, for those
The Tres Comas Club,
recently
man.
joined, Crew-6 is holding.
Dude, I had a bottle of Tres
at
Comas for
20
real.
meters away from the International Space Station.
That was a good
at
night.
Waypoint 2.
Discovery,
We are
go at
standing
throttle.
by for a call from the crew.
Bees, nice to
as
meet you.
we
Yeah,
indicated
likewise.
earlier,
That's
the
awesome.
teams here on the ground
I
are
was
troubleshooting an issue.
here.
with
They're
hookup
trying to fix an
on-
issue with Dragon. We're trying to watch Dragon go to the ISS here. They have a little bit of a software issue, but they're working it out right now. But dude, the RP makes me laugh. That's so funny. I was coming in after a stream, and my fiance was watching because we're both Silicon Valley fans. So we were watching, and we were watching with the when you guys were running Shine, telling about the different stories, the different personal stories. I laughed my ass off, man. It was so funny. I was cracking up. I was on the floor, man. It was freaking great. That made me laugh so good. You guys are damn good at that. I really appreciate it. The improv is top tier. Oh boy, Mateo Jeans had a sub in there too. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. So, yeah. So Middle, what I do here is I play a lot of Kerbal Space Program. I teach people about space flight, but what we're doing right now is we're watching Dragon dock to the space station. You can rewatch the live stream. It's not a big deal. But currently Dragon's stuck at waypoint 2 because they had a software problem. Should have gone with that middle out compression. You know what I mean? The roleplay ends up having moments of insanity. It's so fun to watch, dude. It's such a good time. I'm super into it, But, yeah. How come they're not streaming it on the NASA channel? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But I stream it all the time. So we saw Dragon come up all the way and basically get on final approach. So Middle Ditch, on the ISS, they have docking ports. The docking ports have an approach just basically like a runway, but it's in 3 dimensions, right? And they're on approach, and basically Dragon is doing the equivalent of it's basically a hold short, but it's a hold short on final approach. If you want to speak pilot terms, because they can just stop there for a second. It's not like the plane can just hover before you go and land, right? So they're doing a hold short on final because they had the docking port has drive hooks that clamp together, and there's a software problem with one of the hooks, and if the hooks don't drive, then you can't dock to the station. So they're kind of holding for a second when you popped in. We were just hearing what they were trying to do, but yeah, that's what's going on. So I watch all kind of launches here. I commentate on launches. I play a lot of Kerbal, teach people about space and stuff, and airplanes too. We went on a flight sim kick when it came out a little while back. It was a good time. Is it a Unix system? Oh God. I know it's a Unix system. I know this. Never mind a proprietary UI. It's Unix. I know it. You didn't say the magic word. Please, man, I hate this hacker stuff. Just watch that. Nice. Hey, Carrot. Thanks for that sub, dude. I appreciate it. So yeah, that's what I do over here. Have they tried hacking? An acoustic modem should do the trick. All right, I'm gonna unmute for a second. I need to go get some water. I've been talking too much. Give me one moment.
We're basically.
Oh yeah, I work on my truck too. My truck. It doesn't have doors that open up like this. Sorry, guys. That was a live shot in the garage. Yeah. No doors that open up like this, man. I can't afford it. I'm not in the Tres Comas Club. Really nervous? Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna go fill up some water. Here, let me unmute Gary and Kate here.
When Woody Hoberg and for Sultan Al Nyan.
All right, Middle Ditch. Hey,
have their
thank you very much, dude. You didn't need to pay that back. I rated you for a reason because you deserved it.
And then,
but thank you so much.
We'll head over to the Russian
and Miss
segment,
Rowe,
I'm sure
his cosmonaut colleagues
have prepared for it to make
have
sure
a good one, dude.
We'll
Be
get
good. Go play pickleball.
So all of that coming up soon as the teams continue to troubleshoot this issue at Waypoint 2.
Mm-hmm. As we've mentioned before, once you get on station, it is go, go, go. We've heard from pretty much every astronaut that has been on one of our launch or broadcasts. They've all said that once you get up there, it is really busy. Your days are full with conducting science, working out to make sure that you maintain, muscle mass and bone density. as much as
Paid the
possible.
raid back. That's freaking awesome, man.
Obviously
That's so
sleeping
cool.
Yes.
and eating. And one of the things that I really enjoy watching whenever there's a new crew coming on board station are
We're
the
back.
shared meals.
And we
you
have
know,
the
just
combination.
10, 11, 12 people
Chatkin.
piled
to the golf
into
course,
that
work on your
common
putts.
area, sharing meals, and it's always fun to see how you know, different astronauts bring up different food items to share. You know, ones that might.
Now, do they switch dock and then the Crew-5 gets all set? Yeah, there'll be about a week crossover, Big Papa, and then that Dragon right there, Dragon Endurance, will separate from the station, and they'll send that crew home. Oh, here we go. Hold on, I'm shutting up for a second.
SpaceX Dragon, go ahead.
I don't, Hassan, no.
We have a software override to disable the faulty hook 5
Nice,
switch.
Genesis.
We have verified through other telemetry that the hooks are all open and configured for docking. Software is testing this command and still needs a few minutes as this is a gate to resuming. No crew actions at this time. How copy?
SpaceX Dragon copies, and thank you very much for the update.
Okay.
Copy, Steve, and we'll let you know when we've confirmed that testing and configured Dragon.
Okay.
And then crew will be primed to resume.
Okay, that's good news.
Yep, SpaceX Dragon copies. We understand. Thank you.
Yeah, Airborne, it's microgravity. They just, dude, in
It's
space,
great
you don't
news
need
from
to
here
like,
in Mission Control and
put your arms down, you can just
Corps
keep them
David
here,
Wang
just
has
kinda
relayed
chill.
to the crew. They believe
Super
they have a
comfy from what
solution
I understand.
for that faulty hook. They're going to be testing that out, and then hopefully very soon we'll be hearing.
It's always good to work the problem, Joe. Cool heads prevail with spaceflight, dude. You don't want to shoot from the hip. Find the software problem, isolate the software problem, verify the problem, and then fix it. Come up with a solution, come up with actually a bunch of solutions, figure out what's the best one, do it. You got to be very careful with this stuff. I mean, there are people on board, right? You don't want to dick around with that.
And then all teams will they'll communicate a go to
They
proceed
did, Stealthy. It was
with
the same
docking.
thing.
Again, Josh Cass.
But believe it or not, it's not mechanical from what I understand, dude. It's the software. The software, the software that governs the hooks is not working correctly. And that's why they had to switch to the backup motor with the when they went to open the nose cone. And that's, they said right during that cast when they went to open up the nose cone yesterday, right? So yeah, Dragons have that little nose cone that opens up. It's not little, it's freaking huge, but whatever. They said they'd test it during docking, and they went to do it here, and it didn't work. So now they're going to override it and override the mechanical command to close the hook when they dock. They can manually override the software, Airborne. I don't think there's a mechanical docking system, but yeah, that's spacecraft in 2021. Send a patch, send a hot fix. I'm serious. Hot fix.
The other dock, the forward.
Push the hot
so,
fix to live. Let's go.
Yeah, so in that center screen, you can use that bar.
Hey,
at the
Bontaine,
bottom
long time
of
no
the
see.
center
Twitch lost my
screen
follow?
is the
Oh,
International
well,
Space
hey, welcome
Station.
back,
You can
dude.
see Dragon's kind of pointing toward it. You can also see the crew rotating between available views.
Yeah, Emery, they had a little bit of problem with the docking software, but they're fixing it.
Information that they have available.
And
to them.
actually, not that far off. Hotfix could be pushed remotely. God, you know what? You know when people are like, "Oh man, I really wish I could have been around in the '80s or whatever." I'm like, "Yeah, could have been around in the '80s where there's no internet, and you can't do stuff like this." Yeah, I like the future. The future's pretty dope.
Go at throttle up.
Future's pretty dope. Should Cuddles 2-month resub. Yvonne Tan, there you go with the gifted sub.
Go at throttle up.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I like the future. The future's pretty sweet. You're the first to say that they missed the 80s. Oh, come on. You look at any YouTube comment section for any song, dude. Oh, man, I really miss the 80s. Screw that. No internet, but there were BBSs. Mm. Right. Corbin, don't worry. We good, man. Kobe? Kobe, my man. What's this thing with all these numbers? He has a tablet. He took a picture of the capsule right before dock. No. Because if it's a bomb, Your alarms will go off because all these hotels have bomb detectors, right? It's a really nice hat, Spotch. Well, take it. I don't need it. I'm running dispatch for a lost luggage delivery company right now and hopping around a few people I know channel and gifting some subs. Thanks, Yvonne. Appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, hell yeah, Plywood. I love that movie. Multipass. Corbin, I'm a movie nutcase. I'm a nutcase. Like, you know, it doesn't stop with Silicon Valley with me. The buck doesn't stop there. Buck don't stop there. Spanish? No. Yeah. Hablo español un poco. Mi español es mierda. No good. No good. Hey, your nutcase? Negative. I am a meat popsicle. Word. You're better off here, Kidman. Your Spanish is quite good. Nah. At least the accent? Alright, I'll take that. That's fine. Don't say that, man. Your Spanish rocks. If there was a worst case scenario, could the capsule safely re-enter the atmosphere? Yeah, Big. It'd be fine. You could do it. But if you use this motion, you can jerk forward. From the middle out, right? We have to find mean jerk time. It's my favorite scene from that show. That and Russ Hanneman. Russ Hanneman's my hero. Oh my god. It's all about efficiency. That's right. It makes sense, Art. It makes sense, Artful. It makes sense. I love that show. This show makes me so happy. What is the mean jerk time in this area? Artful, I don't know what's bad. What's bad is if that joke is bad, or what the worst part is that I know I'm dangerous enough to know about engineering to understand exactly what they were talking about. I know, like, that makes it, like, that whole scene, I'm like, oh yeah, I follow. Yeah, that's a really good way to do it. Wait, what the hell is wrong with me? Why am I thinking about this? Damn it! Oh, you have one more Spanish friend. Gracias, amigo. ¿Cómo estás? What the hell's wrong with me? I've had a recurrence of my drinking problem. I missed. So she's still holding here. Hold on, let's see if they push that software. I'm gonna unmute for a moment.
And we are heading toward that white circle right in the very middle. That is the Zenith port.
Cheers, you're doing Eagle Rare out the dang bottle.
Will be docking just minutes away.
All right, we want to play that game.
At this point in time, we have all 12 docking hooks open in preparation for docking. The teams here on the ground at SpaceX Mission Control are basically testing a software override as there is a faulty Hook 5 sensor. But
see this?
The vehicle is healthy.
It's called
the
tres
crew,
comas. You know what that means?
Also remains healthy.
It's Spanish for 3 commas.
No action
it's the amount of money I made when I make that frick ton of Intersight money.
As Gary mentioned before, we when this initially arose about 5 to 10 minutes ago, we heard on the loops that there is 2 hours of margin within the schedule. Basically, Dragon can hold this position for the next 2 hours and still have that re-rendezvous capability if necessary. But it sounds like that manual
that was because Middle
override
that was
likely to be a successful solution. So we're just waiting on words from SpaceX core David Huang to indicate if the teams have confirmed, and we'll be pushing that.
I prefer to speak English for respect. Thanks, Spanish. I appreciate that.
The crew.
Viva Carlos Sainz.
Vamos, Carlos. That we are in joint operations too. A lot of the work being done here in Hawthorne.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop for status.
That's right, Ghost. Yep. Bro, why are their cameras so bad? So, hold on 1 second.
SpaceX Dragon, go ahead.
All right, Shops, I'll tell you in a moment.
Hey, Steve, just wanted to give you another update. We're still working through software testing and ensuring thorough verification. Expect more answers in approximately 10 minutes.
Okay.
SpaceX Dragon copies.
So why are the cameras so bad? This one that's in 4-3 is an infrared camera from Dragon. It's part of Dragon Eye's. It's part of the docking system, believe it or not. That's a docking camera that's in infrared. That's why that camera kind of sucks. In terms of this camera, that one's pretty good for the inside of a spacecraft being basically beamed down to us in real time. But these cameras on board the spacecraft can't get too crazy because they got to be light. They got to be low mass. They have to be. The name of the game with everything spaceflight is mass. Now, like, once again, that's one of the docking system cameras. So the docking system camera doesn't give a frick if it's in high definition. This is part of Dragon Eyes. Dragon Eyes is the software or part of the system that Dragon uses to fit, the computers on Dragon physically use to see the ISS. There are some high-def 4K cameras up there, Irish Shops, on the station, and they were showing us some really baller pictures of Dragon a second ago. And they'll probably switch back to them when Dragon goes to dock. But dang, dude. Yeah, those 4K cameras, you'll see it and your jaw will drop. Frick you, Jin Yang. Yeah, I called the Pied Piper number and... somebody said that you were going to Hooli or something. Oh, yeah, that was Jin Yang. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Can use that if necessary.
Power consumption is also a factor, Nervous. Yeah, there you go.
Continue to get estimates on the propellant that's used as the teams assess that.
SpaceX is literally pushing a hot fix. They're testing it right now. They're testing it on the back end. And then they will literally push a hot fix to the capsule in real time because it's the 21st century. Why shouldn't we be able to patch software on our spaceship? Duh. Hello, this is your mother calling. You are not my baby. What?
Here, basically, provide thorough verification that software override will fix that faulty Hook 5 sensor. There on the left-hand side of your screen is Commander Steve Bowen. I'd like to take a minute to share a little bit more information about.
So the docking port is a Taurus, Hussy. It's a Taurus, and then there's a hatch inside of the docking port. Yeah. So it's kind of like a ring, and the ring they'll attach to each other, and then there's drive hooks in the ring that pull it together like this, and then on the inside of the docking ring, that's where they open the hatch and they'll ingress through there. Oh, you guys want to hear? You guys want to feel insignificant? Hear about the crew.
This will be Bowen's 4th trip into space as a veteran of 3 space shuttle missions: STS-126 back in 2008, STS-132 in 2010, and STS-133 in 2011. Bowen has logged more than 140 days in space, including 47 hours, 18 minutes during 7 spacewalks. As a mission commander, as the Crew-6 mission commander, he will be responsible for all phases of flight on board Dragon, from launch all the way through re-entry.
Next, we have the pilot, Woody Hoberg. He's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Listen to this.
Earned a bachelor's degree in aeronautics and astronautics from MIT, and a doctorate in electrical engineering and computer science from the University of California, Berkeley. He's also a commercial pilot with instrument, single-engine, and multi-engine ratings. The mission will be Hoberg's first flight since his selection as an astronaut in 2017. And as pilot, he'll be responsible for spacecraft systems and performance aboard Dragon.
Oh, well, Woody, I made my bed today,
Sultan Al Nayati will be making his first trip to space, representing the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center of the United Arab Emirates. He will be the first UAE astronaut to fly on board a commercial spacecraft. On board Dragon, Al Nayati will serve as a mission specialist, working to monitor the spacecraft during the dynamic launch and re-entry phases of flight. He spent time in the UAE military prior to becoming one of the first 2 individuals selected by this country when they started their space program just a few years ago.
And last but not least, Andrei Fedyaev will be making his first trip into space. He also serves as a mission specialist working to monitor the spacecraft through the dynamic launch and re-entry phases of flight. He was selected as a cosmonaut in 2012.
Yeah, that's right, dog,
and is now the 2nd cosmonaut to fly aboard the SpaceX Dragon. Again, these roles are when they are inside Dragon.
Look at all yins in here.
Once we dock to the International Space Station, they'll become members
folk.
of Expedition 68.
As I mentioned before, one of the things I really look forward to seeing once there's
Sultan
a new
is
crew
his
on
name,
board
Rumblebelly.
is really just seeing everybody come together and share food at meal times. And given the diversity within this crew and the crew members that are already on station, I think there will be some really great meals and stories. Really great meals and stories to be shared.
Stories.
That's right. Once we
Artful as Kate.
once we have
Is Kate
the
drinking with
Crew-6
us, or-
astronauts enter the International Space Station, we'll bring the population of station up to 11 crew members. That'll
Crank
only be
it to
for a
11,
short time,
dog.
though. We're looking at approximately a 5-day handover to allow everybody to get into their respective roles and responsibilities. Crew 5 will be handing over a lot of their responsibilities
way,
over
Artful.
to Crew 6.
No
It's,
freaking
this is-
for real.
This direct handover allows the Crew 5
You know what?
astronauts to brief
That makes sense.
Crew 6
I don't
on
know
life
why,
aboard
but
the
that makes
International
sense.
Space Station, get them familiarized with a lot of the systems on board.
serious,
Of course,
it's
they've
impressive.
been training
Kate's
for
a
months,
tank.
sometimes
No
years,
way.
on a lot of the
Holy
systems
schnitzel.
aboard the International Space Station, but nothing
That's
like
dope.
the real thing. So they'll give them a brief of life
No, they
aboard,
sleep,
make sure
Poggy.
they're good to go.
The astronauts
and
sleep.
then Crew 5 aboard Dragon Endurance.
So the Crew-6 astronauts are on UTC. The astronauts switch their sleep schedule to Greenwich Mean Time before the launch, and then they go. And they have sleep. They have sleep schedules. Their regime is very regimented. They have to make sure they get enough sleep, and they have like downtime. Because yeah, NASA learned the hard way. If you try to overwork people in space, they get really mad at you. Yeah. So there's a highly regimented thing. They do get 8 hours of sleep, 2 hours of exercise when they're on the station. Every day. You have to do that or else you'll get muscle atrophy. You'll try to come back down here, you walk out of the spacecraft after being on orbit without working out, you'll have a stroke. Yeah, that's no good. You don't want that to happen. So they got to work out for 2 hours every day, sleep for 8, mandatory downtime, and mandatory uptime. You have to do it. But yeah, they definitely get to sleep, Poggy. That's a good question. Kate went to Penn State and signed the last beam of our new engineering building. Oh, word?
A good reminder that
Yeah, so what happens is if you have muscle atrophy, right, and you come back down into the grav well, right, you're working your muscles in ways that you haven't done in a long period of time, right? So your heart will start trying to pump the blood to keep your blood oxygenated. It'll try to pump too fast, and you can go into cardiac arrest. That's not like some weird sci-fi thing. That absolutely happens. You got to be careful. That's why they work out every day and to maintain muscle mass, and they do a lot of cardio too to keep the heart healthy. You have to do it. You have to. You'll come back down here and you'll die. Even after 6 months, it'll really mess you up. You're up there for a year, it'll really mess you up without working out. That's why they work out. Mandatory 2 hours every day. Never skip leg day in space. How did they discover this? Incremental long-term testing, Hezwa, definitely does it.
Top of that thermal image that hopefully we'll be able to catch views of momentarily.
Well, they sent Ham up.
in the meantime,
frack
we
in
got
the
these great
60s.
views of Dragon. You
RCS
can
fire.
sort of see those thrusters.
There's the 4K
firings,
cameras,
keeping Dragon
dudes.
in place. Again, the
Yo,
teams
there's
here
the
in Mission
4K
Control
cameras.
and Hawthorne are tracking good propellant.
No,
so
no
we
one's
can hold
actually
here
died
for
from
quite some
Hezbollah, no,
time.
no.
The sun is starting to rise as we enter into an orbital
does,
sunrise.
Siberian,
The space station is 261 statute miles over the Pacific Ocean, about to cross over Western Europe.
What's VSVN?
But again, we're holding until they actually dock and are welcomed by that crew, Expedition 68, that I was talking about. It's going to be quite busy aboard the station for a little bit, for ideally less than a week. Here's Expedition 68 right now, a multinational crew. They're all aboard the International Space Station. From the left, we have Frank Rubio. And if we head our
There you
way
go, Bruce.
right, next is Russian cosmonaut Dmitry Vitelin. Then JAXA astronaut from the Japan
Wakata-san.
Aerospace Exploration Agency, Koichi Wakata. In the center are the
Josh.
two NASA astronauts that are monitoring the
Josh and
approach and
Nicole.
docking of Crew-6. First is Josh Cassada, and then Nicole Mann. That goes by the call sign Duke. If you hear Duke on the space to grounds, it's referring to Nicole Mann. The commander of the International Space Station right now is Sergei Prokopyev. And then on the far right
Anna.
is one of the Crew-5 crew members, Roscosmos cosmonaut Anna Kikina. So 7 crew members aboard Expedition 68.
So, Mark, they're in kind of a holding pattern. Docking was supposed to happen about 40 minutes ago, give or take. They're in a bit of a holding pattern because some of the software that governs the docking port latching mechanism wasn't working correctly. SpaceX is literally testing new software, a software override, and they're going to push it to the Dragon and update the software in a moment here. In the meantime, Dragon is just kind of holding position in front of the docking port. And, yeah. Crazy. Pushing software to a spacecraft. Freaking love the future. Future's dope.
We have approximately 9.4 minutes of hold time at waypoint 2, limited by prop. Software testing is continuing, and teams are working to get this right, not just fast. We'll come back with more updates.
Okay, so they can loiter for about an hour and 30 minutes before they have to back away.
Before we're standing by.
Before they don't have enough propellant.
So as we heard there from SpaceX core David Huang indicating that the software team's still working on that software,
so
on that
Dragon's just
solution,
station-keeping.
likely a software override.
Man.
They're providing thorough verification that will solve that faulty sensor on hook 5. Of course, those hooks are what are required to enable that hard capture to the International Space Station. But what he said there was incredibly important. They're working to get it right,
Isn't it dope, Biff?
not just fast.
Yep.
That's exactly right. Obviously, crew health is
Phantom, maybe.
crew safety is of utmost importance, both for the crew on board,
Jensen, it's the software for the hooks. The software is the software governing the hooks is not good. The drive hooks are fine. Yeah. SpaceX is literally writing new code right now, and they will push a hot fix to the capsule here in a moment. Dragon can loiter for about another 90 minutes, give or take. It's plenty of time to work the problem. But is that bananas or what?
Crew-6 the Crew-6 crew has in this position while still being able to basically maintain capability to perform a re-rendezvous.
Yoko Olen Peria. No.
That's plenty of margin, and again,
Software.
flight control teams are continuing to assess that.
I know, Ark, isn't it
They
dope,
continue
though?
to monitor the prop levels, and you can see
This
even
is
on
so
the
cool.
right,
Look at
the
that
camera
4K camera,
from the
bro.
external side of the International Space Station. You can see those firings of the Draco
simulationism.
engines, keeping the Dragon
I
in
believe
place,
that.
holding at 20 meters. That's what we're monitoring, those prop levels.
Pokey,
now, again,
what
a
Blarg
quick
said is
reminder,
right.
that doesn't mean that at the 90.
So, why do they have to constantly fire the thrusters? That's what's holding them there. They can only stay there for about another 90 minutes because if you notice, Dragon is periodically firing its thrusters. Blarg, you're absolutely correct. Dragon is flying in formation with the ISS, but flying in formation requires constant correction. Why? Dragon is technically in a slightly higher orbit, a 20-meter higher orbit than the ISS, meaning it takes the ISS 90 minutes to orbit the Earth, and it takes Dragon, where it is in a slightly higher orbit, it takes it 90 minutes and 2 or 3 seconds, right? Its orbit is slightly different by maybe an orbital period, so the time it takes to do one, it's just slightly different being a little bit higher off of Earth. So if you noticed, they're constantly boosting the capsule. They're constantly making corrections to stay in synchronous with the ISS. That's called station keeping. Station keeping, if you play Kerbal, station keeping, watch my docking tutorials for today. I talked about this in pretty good detail. You could be right next to it. That's fine. Oh, that's great. You're not in the same orbit, and you will eventually fall out of phase if you don't keep making corrections. That's really, really important to understand. So if you're like a newer Kerbal player, you want to learn how to dock two things together, you got to learn how to station keep first. Do they have a fueling station on the ISS? No, they do not. ISS is a research laboratory. It's not a refueling depot. Starship will fix that, though. No, Starship's not going to the ISS. Starship is the depot. Also, believe it or not, the volume of photon collision plays a role. Orbital perturbing forces do be like that, Artful. That's cool. There you go. Yeah, so That's the thing. So we were talking about like what you can learn in Kerbal. What Kerbal doesn't teach you, Artful, it's actually a good thing to say. Like there is so many things that will perturb the orbit up there, from small atmospheric particles. There's air up there, guys, just not enough for anybody to breathe. Like I wouldn't take your helmet off outside. That's not going to end well. But there is still a little bit of atmosphere up there at 400 kilometers. It's still there. There's perturbing forces there. There's perturbing forces from solar winds. There's all kinds of stuff. Yeah, micrometeorite, God forbid. We don't want that. But there's all kinds of stuff up there that can move the orbit around. What am I drinking? The crick. Going down to the crick. The knob crick. Artful, you're telling me you can drink 4 of these at once? I'm impressed. I'm just sipping on it, though. Just sipping whiskey. Time for a spacewalk and some elbow grease? Nah, they'll push software to it, Wasser, and they'll fix it that way. With IVs, maybe? All right. Do they have Knob Creek up there? No. I think on the Russian side of the station, though, they have some vodka up there. For celebratory purposes. What's the actual issue? Strangelove, the software that's governing Dragon's docking system was not cooperating. The docking port wouldn't... The hooks on the docking port weren't working. SpaceX figured out that it was software. They're testing out a software fix now, and they're literally going to push a hot fix to Dragon here in a second. And then it'll be able to dock.
Joint operations.
They have about 90 minutes left, High Vice, before they would have to pull away.
Space Station Flight Control Room.
If they don't get it done in 90 minutes, then what? They might have to come back down, but that, trust me, they're trying to avoid that at all costs.
The Dragon will make its way from this view down. It'll make its way towards the Earth.
Dragon, SpaceX on the big loop for status.
They're trying to do that, write the software for the override right now, Waza. Here we go.
We have a software override command that will allow Dragon to continue to docking.
Here we go.
Again, teams have verified that Dragon is in the correct docking configuration. Ground will be sending the override command. Ground will then pull for another go, and then brief crew when ready to resume. How copy?
Word. Yeah, me too, Mark. Strange.
SpaceX Dragon on the big loop, you were cut off.
Uh-oh.
Copy, Dragon.
There are Harithos.
We have a software override command that will allow Dragon to continue to docking.
There's hooks on the station and
teams have verified that Dragon is in the correct docking configuration. Ground will be sending the override command, and then pull for another go, and then brief crew when ready to resume. How copy?
SpaceX Dragon, copy, I'll understand, and we'll be ready for the pull and our actions.
All right, good news there coming from SpaceX Core David Huang, letting the Crew-6 know, letting the Crew-6 crew, letting them know that the teams have worked through that override.
Station Houston on the big loop for comm.
95, you okay?
Go ahead on 2, David.
Hey Josh, just for your essay, you may have noticed in voice to us that we don't have space ground 3 and 4. That's because we've gone to our KU mask. We'll regain that at 0651. Just for your essay. We don't need it for docking.
The KU band isn't working. That's the high frequency communications.
Okay, appreciate the heads up. 0651 to get KU back.
0651. So they'll get KU band communications back in
As we were
20
saying
minutes.
before, we just got confirmation that the teams here on the ground will be pushing that software
Something like that,
override
Hip, yeah.
through up to Dragon Endeavor.
I'm not sure,
and
Nick.
That
I'd have to read the contract.
There will be
Hey,
another poll for
Biddies.
go for
Thanks,
docking.
dude. I'll take a swig
and
for you,
the
man.
crew will then receive final instruction, basically that final go. So that if that override is being pushed through currently, that should take hopefully just a couple of minutes. As we said before, we had 2 hours of margin to hold here at waypoint 2, 20 meters away from the International Space Station. So we're still well within that margin. And as the SpaceX Corps indicated, that the teams were looking to get it done right, not fast. And so we're pleased to hear that the solution has been identified and is being pushed up to the capsule.
Is it bad if
and that call you heard
tell
from
who's a software
Mission Control
person
in Houston
just by
up to
just
Josh
by looking at what you're
Kasta
saying in
is
chat?
confirming that the KU link is currently masked until 12:51 a.m. Central Time, 10:51 p.m. Pacific Time. So right now the teams on both sides
Station
are polling.
Houston on 2 for Frank and exercise. Due to the exercise constraints with the hold we're in, we're going to defer your 0T2 ops and your ARED that are hard scheduled for today.
I didn't get that.
Copy on 2, thank you.
That was.
It sounded like because the docking operations got delayed that they delayed something else, or they canceled another activity because docking operations and the welcome ceremony were going to be delayed, but I didn't hear what exactly it was. No need to dock, just EVA and jetpack. Yep. Pushing to another team. Okay, got it.
So they're going to hold.
Because of your tweet, I ordered Val. Do want. There was another question that I wanted to grab. I missed it. Dang.
With the International Space Station flight control teams to proceed past
It was
waypoint
exercise,
2
Adrian.
in for
There
a
you go.
docking. If we do that very
Shouldn't
shortly,
skip leg day, man,
we may
but
not get
sometimes you gotta.
KU, which means we may not get views. It depends on if we get pass over a ground station or not. We may get views from the Dragon. Not a requirement to press in for docking.
Should be
There's
happening,
a lot of other
Taylor,
factors
in
that
basically a
are
couple
more
minutes.
important than getting those views. So we'll see. We'll stand by for those teams to continue their poll.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop for approach 2.
Okay, here we go.
SpaceX Dragon, copy.
Ground has pulled go for approach 2. Confirm crew readiness for final approach and that visors are down.
That's how you get
As a
stuff
reminder
done.
that once Dragon is inside the crew hands-off point, retreat and breakout are not permitted. How copy?
SpaceX Dragon copies all, our visors are down, and the crew is ready to resume.
Copy, Steve. Dragon is go to command resume.
Boss, there's a head on board the capsule, don't worry. I'm telling you, they got him the vodka. The crew can override its sim, but it's all done remote.
All right, so great news there coming from SpaceX Corps,
Right,
indicating that poll for docking was conducted.
SpaceX Dragon, we have resumed.
Okay, here we go.
The poll for docking was conducted once again.
Dragon is an approach 2 prep.
That's pretty bamf. They just patched the
Go
freaking
for docking,
software on
and we're now
Dragon
in prep for
in like 40 minutes.
to approach the International Space Station.
It's a 30-second pause before the Draco engines start firing to get us closer to the International Space Station. So
I'm gonna guess
we'll hear
those
another
software
call once
engineers
Dragon
make
is in
bank,
motion.
guys, because that's why they make the big bucks for what just happened. You see that? Just watch the spacecraft get hot fixed
Now
in
again,
real time.
Dragon is an approach 2 and continuing to station.
All right.
Here we go.
Station Houston on the big loop. Dragon is resuming approach and is go for docking. Monitor per steps 5 and 6 in 1.102. Dragon approach and retreat monitoring.
Yeah, retros. Yeah, maybe.
Station copies. We are in steps 5 and 6.
Now, if we can bring you views from inside the capsule, again, we will try. Unfortunately, we don't have any live views at the moment. However, those crew displays that the crew has available to monitor progress,
I hope we get it
they
soon,
actually
Chaos.
will have a live camera basically showing how close they are to
Right, high
that
I don't know.
the zenith port, and they are able to monitor the progress again, being able to see which Draco
Mark, that's
thrusters
right.
are firing when. But we're looking forward to seeing the crew continue on this docking journey.
Now, even though we don't have views, we are getting telemetry, so we're
Yeah.
coming up on,
The
we are
KU is
making
out.
some motion. It's just a little bit, we did increase a little bit of distance while we were at the hold point, so we got out to about 25 meters. So now we're making our way in. We're at about 20 meters now. We'll stand by for contact and capture. You heard that reiteration from the ground of that crew hands-off point. That will be called up to the crew. It's called CHOP. They make an acronym for it. So you'll know that the crew cannot issue an abort command at that point.
Yeah,
but right now we're looking good. 18 meters in closing.
Live view there of SpaceX Mission Control.
We should get a view here in the next 10
that
minutes.
That is where we've been hearing those core updates come from.
I don't know, sir.
But at this point in time, Dragon is back to closing that distance, as Gary said, closing that distance for docking. There will be a soft capture first, then followed by a hard capture. We saw that soft capture ring in earlier views of the Dragon capsule. So that soft capture ring will be...
Oh.
Copy, 10 meters.
Oh, okay, 10-meter call from Commander Bowen.
A call from inside Dragon Endeavor, 10 meters in closing.
You just said that, Gary.
We'll get those calls from the crew, including CHOP, and then confirmation of contact and capture. Visuals are not a requirement to proceed with docking, so even though we don't have KO, even though we don't have videos, we do have plenty of telemetry coming down to give us the confidence we need. And of course, we have the crew aboard Dragon Endeavor and International Space Station that are witnessing the action now.
Yeah, Caviar. Funny how that works,
Once again, Dragon is making its way, closing the final meters between itself and the International Space Station, specifically the Zenith port.
Next Dragon, 5 meters.
5 meters.
Copy, 5 meters.
Only 5 meters to go.
Yeah, 60. Yeah, Sizzy, that's
slow and methodical approach. Progress seems to be good for the crew aboard Dragon. Of course, Josh Cassada and Nicole Mann are inside the International Space Station monitoring. There are safeguards in place if needed, but right now we're looking pretty good.
Once again, we'll bring those live views whenever we have them. Unfortunately, they're not available at this moment in time, but those visuals are not required.
Dragon, 2 meters.
2 meters. Stand by for the chop.
2 meters.
We're in for some chop.
The crew is monitoring, as you can tell from those callouts from inside Dragon Endeavor. Those
1 meter.
Last meter to go.
Copy, 1 meter.
Yeah, I know, Goon. It freaking sucks. It sucks that the KU ban went out. I'm actually kind of bummed. If they don't show a freaking picture of that damn capsule docked, I'm going to be pissed. I don't know. They said the KU...
Dragon, SpaceX on the big loop. Soft capture confirmed.
Hey, there we go. I don't know why they don't have KU. They said it'd just be out until 51 past, so another 10 minutes. We did get some really sweet views of that capsule.
That soft capture occurring at 10:40 p.m. Pacific time,
yeah,
12:40 a.m. Central time. International Space Station and Dragon were 261 statute miles off the coast of Somalia in eastern.
Yeah, they didn't have KU banned. Oh, they're off Somalia. They're out in the Indian Ocean. There's no... I mean, I was going to say maybe there's no communication out there, but no, they're using TDRS, but... Yeah, Sin, I'm with you. I'm with you. Here, like, I'll show you a picture. They had pictures of the capsule a second ago. That's what it looked like. I really wish we could have seen that thing docked, but if you stick around, they'll show it. They'll show it docked. So we're waiting on that. They said they'll get reacquisition of KU banned at 51 past. So, yeah, that's gonna be in a second here. At about 10 minutes. KU band, high frequency, Astro, high frequency antenna. High frequency radio transmissions can carry a lot more bandwidth, like video. Yeah, it's that we kind of got screwed there, but it is what it is. Sometimes you get a payout, sometimes you don't. But we'll see a picture of it docked in a moment.
Attitude control maneuvers. to allow minimal loads during this.
Why can't they use Starlink? Because changing the antennas on a spacecraft 350 is not just as simple as putting a new one on. You have to get, there's a lot of regulatory approval with like the FCC and stuff of what you can and can't transmit around in space. Yeah. But putting Starlink antennas on a spaceship on something that flies, yeah, that's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of paperwork you don't want. It depends on which Starlink satellite's forlorn, but yeah, they're about Starlink satellites a little bit higher. The FAA, yeah, FCC, yeah, you have to go through a lot of red tape just to change an antenna, guys. It takes forever. Getting a license for that takes time.
And that the soft capture ring retraction is complete. That's the part that, as Gary just said, pulls the Dragon capsule in toward the International Space Station, and then next up we will have that hard capture sequence start.
Flight controllers are monitoring the soft capture ring retraction, and everything's looking good so far.
Yep.
I mentioned the soft capture ring. The Dragon is inside the vestibule, so that's important. It's pulling it in.
It's the FCC and the FAA Astro
to begin that hard capture sequence that you were mentioning.
A lot of red tape, dude.
Again, visuals are not a requirement for this process.
What are the two control rooms? So this one that looks all sleek to Jad is controlling the Dragon capsule. That one's the capsule communications, or the capsule mission control. The other one that looks like has the wooden tables with all the monitors, that's NASA's mission control. That's the ISS mission control. So one of them is Houston. Like, Houston, we've had a problem. That's Houston mission control, and this is SpaceX mission control in Hawthorne. What does FCC stand for? Federal Communications Commission.
Dragon, SpaceX on the big loop, ring retraction complete. Docking sequence is holding for MCS reconfiguration.
Okay. No problem, Dejad. I got you. All good.
SpaceX Dragon capsule.
They can wait for software, but they can't wait for the video to come back. Yeah, sometimes it works like that, guys. It kind of sucks. What's the ISS control do? They're in Houston, Maddox? So what's the ISS control in Huntsville? It could be for experiments that Marshall Space Flight Center has put up to the space station.
Flight control
it's probably
teams
that.
Monitoring a good ring retraction. Right now they're pausing to allow International Space Station attitude to configure. I mentioned a series of intricate maneuvers to make sure to minimize the loads.
So I would be annoyed by that noise, except that guy is pulling around a nozzle for a Merlin vacuum. That's what that card is that guy's pushing around. Straight up rocket engine right there.
For that hard capture sequence, we did
Merlin
upload
vacuum
that software
right
override
there.
for the hooks.
Oh, bro, that's sick.
To make sure that those
cool.
hooks engage for a hard capture, so we'll stand by and wait for that. But again, we did have a soft capture confirmed at 10:40
I think so.
p.m. Pacific time, 12:40 a.m. Central time.
Looks heavy.
And again, the ISS and the Dragon were off the coast of Somalia.
Yeah, guys, so
Eastern.
SpaceX's mission control is literally next to the production floor for Falcon 9. Falcon 9s are literally made right outside these walls right here. Right there. That's the production line for it. So sometimes you see guys moving rocket parts around, which is pretty cool. In fact, see that gray thing right there? This big gray thing? That's the thrust structure for a Falcon 9. It's called an octaweb. It's sitting on a lift right there. They're going to install engines on it. Mission control over here. That's Houston.
SpaceX Dragon capsule.
SpaceX over there.
Yeah, so the hook driving is now about to begin. As I was saying, there was a software override that was sent up to the Dragon capsule from the teams on the ground in order to resolve the faulty sensor on Hook 5. That Hook 5 being one of the hooks that is now being used to drive that hard capture.
That way. When I was there, I was told to...
All in all, aside from that minor issue that the teams were able to resolve in a few minutes, a pretty smooth ride to space. I'm sure they're excited to eventually open the door and see their friends.
It's like a room
The
over.
hooks
Yeah,
are
the other
deployed.
room.
There are 12 total hooks to help us have
Less
a hard
noise.
capture, and they're in 2 sets of 6 called gangs. The first gang of 6.
Floor gang.
We're hearing good calls from the flight control teams. They are driving as expected.
Okay, they're talking about the drive hooks on the docking port. I always love seeing the milled combustion chambers. I stop to look every time. Yeah, that was pretty sick. Nervous. You see that thing? So the
Once again, Dragon Endeavour now underway with the hard capture, the driving of those 12 hooks, as Gary just mentioned.
Oh man, we got a lot of roll tide in here.
The first set.
Roll
sounds like
tide,
everything's
Mac
going
Jones,
well.
baby.
The second set to follow. And once hard capture is complete, that basically means that Dragon will have docked. Now, this is Dragon has driven itself autonomously to the space station. So at this point in time, the crew continues to monitor the progress as those hooks
What
drive.
is rapid response?
And they are.
Rapid response, Keen Bop, is a really cool spacecrafty way of saying fix the problem fast. Yeah, because we don't have time. That's what rapid response is. Fix whatever's wrong and fix it quick.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Mission control teams at Johnson Space Center over in Houston,
High-Vis
Texas.
sucked, but whatever.
Now, of course, we were holding at that 20-meter
remote
marker for
takeover.
some
There you go.
time. So if you're following along, we're going to continue our coverage to make sure that the
What capsule's hanging in the background, Reefer? That is SpaceX's first spacecraft that they got back from space. Yep, first Dragon right there. I think it was the COTS-1 mission. Commercial Orbital Transport Services. They launched it in 2012. It was the first, or no, maybe 2010? I forget. That was a long time ago. I was just a wee lad.
ground teams, we heard the first gang of 6 hooks
Wonder what
have
that
driven,
costs?
and they look like they're in a
Cheaper
good
than everybody
configuration.
else.
The second set of hooks, another 6, are currently driving. We'll continue to monitor the progress of those. Again, once these hooks are driven, that is that hard dock to the International Space Station. It kicks off another series of steps.
I know that noise.
They'll be able to doff or take off their suits once the Dragon is fully engaged to the International Space Station.
Yeah, Astoria, it's already docked. I know that noise. Some guy's going at something with an angle grinder.
Holding at that 20-meter hold point for quite some time.
I
So
know
if
that
you're following
noise.
along with our coverage and want to continue with our coverage, we'll hand it over to the Johnson Space Center to take us through hatch opening and the welcome ceremony. Everything is shifting slightly to the right. If you're following in Central Time, we're looking at hatches open approximately 2:18, and then a welcome ceremony around 3 a.m.
Should be getting pictures
Central
back
Time.
here in the next
Of course,
minute.
those are approximate. They'll have to go through the procedures, and we'll monitor KU.
Got
But
the angle grinder.
just to give our viewers a good indication of what we're looking at so far, for those who want to stick around and
I
see
know,
the
Keen, right? It's fascinating to
astronauts
watch,
of
dude.
Expedition 68 welcome Crew-6.
These people
who are
have
also
many
joining
wrinkles
Expedition
in their
68.
brain, dude. Many wrinkles.
That's right. So as we said, the second set of hooks
I'm here for the
is,
duration, Eurobot.
currently driving.
You gonna stick
The
here with
first
me?
set got good readout there, and sounds like that first set of 6
Oh, there you go.
is
Astoria.
complete. The second set of 6 now underway.
It's docked, Vassy. Yeah,
And
she made it.
as Gary mentioned, still a number of steps to go through prior to egressing Dragon capsule and greeting their friends on board the International Space Station.
It's already
such
docked,
as
too. We're just
being able
waiting
to
for some
doff their
pictures.
suits. They'll be able to take their suits off and store them.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. Docking sequence complete.
Here we
Or
go.
hard capture complete. Correction.
That's right, Desert. Yep. Got my crick out. All right. So the hooks.
SpaceX Dragon Comp, a hard capture complete.
Oh, there we go, baby. All right. Look at that thing.
Beautiful view there
Look,
from
there's
the
2 of them.
cameras on board
Twins, Basil.
the International
Twins.
Space Station. That is the Crew-6 capsule, as it has just completed the hard capture docking sequence.
The
Not
KU
quite
band was
yet
down,
complete,
honky,
but hard
honky
capture
tonk.
is
I was
complete.
a little pissed. The antenna wasn't positioned
That
right.
is the zenith port.
22 is
of the
that
ISS.
way. Dude, this is underneath the truss segment here.
That's a great indication of the hooks, too. All 12 hooks are engaged in place, looking good. Next series of steps, that soft capture
Yeah,
ring
it's bullcrap,
that was
dude.
used in the
We got
first leg of
robbed
the
this
docking
time.
sequence is going to retract. There's also an umbilical that is deployed from the Dragon and connects the Dragon to the International Space Station. Dragon at this point has been relying on its batteries and the solar arrays that you can see.
There's Endurance and
that
Endeavor
black
right
portion
there.
of the unpressurized trunk that from this view is sort of at the top of where the Dragon is. It's been relying on battery power, but once it's hooked up, it'll draw some power from the International Space Station, which of course has solar arrays to provide plenty of power through once they configure the Dragon for the quiescent stage, where it will remain for approximately 6 months while the Crew-6 astronauts become expedition members and conduct science, maintenance, and upgrades for the next 6 months in 2023.
Dragon looks so small. It looks so small compared to these capsules, dude. But the ISS modules are no slouch.
Yeah, at this point in time, we're just waiting to hear the confirmation that the docking sequence is completed. We're expecting the core to give a call to the crew to indicate that they can doff their spacesuits and just to let them know that that entire docking sequence is complete. We did get confirmation that the hard capture portion was complete.
So when did both capsules leave? Older, the one that's behind the Kibo module here, Endurance is scheduled to come down probably in about a week and a half, something like that. Endeavor is going to stay up at the space station for about 6 months until it's relieved of duty by whomever is on Crew-7. The Crew-7 mission will come and relieve them here. Yeah, it's going to be up there for 6 months. Actually, Endurance needs to vacate. The reason why it needs to vacate is because Starliner should be the next thing to dock to that hatch right there with the crew flight test, supposedly.
Thanks, Dragon copies. We're happy to be here.
No, Talon, not really. No. The next crew spacecraft, nervous, I should say, yeah. 27 might take its spot, I'm not sure.
On behalf of SpaceX, it has been a pleasure working with you. Ground will be enabling hardline power and comm connection shortly. You are go to doff suits per procedure 4.012 and will bring cameras external.
Word. Okay, that's good news that you're going to take the suits off before ingress here. Kind of Moonbug, sorry if a silly question, but how big is the space station? Thanks for flying. Yeah, it's a pretty sweet ride from what I hear, Artful. So, Moonbug, the space station is about as big as a soccer field or a football field or a American football field. They're all pretty much the same size. It's big. It's a big space station. Yeah. Now the habitable spots, like the spots that people can go in, aren't as big as a football field. The whole station is really big, and what the ISS does is it has a structural truss segment here. You could just see it. And the solar panels are out on the very ends of the truss segment. And from like one end of the truss segment to the other end of the truss segment, that's about as long as a football field. So it's about 100 meters, about 300 feet, guys. It's pretty big. It's a big station. And the reason why they hang the solar panels way out on the ends is because when a spacecraft comes close, the docking ports are right in the center of the station where the HAB modules are. When spacecraft come close, you don't want to fire the RCS into a solar panel. That's no good. Bad idea. The solar panels are basically as light as a piece of paper. So if you fire into them, they'll work like a sail and they can bend the truss segment. You don't want that to happen. So they put they could bend and break, actually. That's why they put them out way on the ends. So like the whole span of the ISS is about as big as a football field. It's huge. It's a big station. What happens to the millions of farts over the years inside? It gets filtered. It has really good HVAC systems in there, Jimmy. You have to move the air. They have to keep circulating the air, dude. There's no way. You have to. Basically, there's always a draft inside of the ISS. There's always air blowing around because Think about it, dude. Think about if you just breathed. If you just breathed and there was no air circulation and the air went stale, you could be floating. You could float into a cloud of CO2 and you just suffocate right there. So they got good circulation in there. Also, so you don't, if you rip ass, it doesn't smell for too long. But you got to keep the air going. You got to keep the air going or you could just suffocate. Bad idea. You don't want to do that.
We're going to toss it.
What do they have, an HVAC guy up there? Well, the astronauts that are on board the station are HVAC people. Also, there's a Falcon Heavy nose cone sitting back there. I don't know if you guys can see it. And a fairing as well. And a payload attachment fitting. That's nice. So every astronaut that's up there is tasked with maintaining the station, and they train for it. Sometimes they have to go outside to fix stuff on the station. Sometimes it's just re-greasing the robotic arms. Sometimes it's swapping batteries out. Sometimes it's adding new solar panels. A bunch of different things.
Out to pad 39A. They had a successful ingress. Of course, the liftoff from Kennedy Space Center, pad 39A at 12:34 a.m. Eastern
yeah,
time.
Dragon, you ain't wrong.
Today, technically, I had to check the clock. Or excuse me, 12:34 a.m. Eastern time.
Somebody's saying something on the big loop that we can't hear.
And we had successful stage 1 landing, of course, Dragon separation, nose cone deploy. We saw that nose cone open as Dragon was approaching the International Space Station. Of course, those 5 major burns that the capsule completed to get closer to the International Space Station. And then we just had docking a couple minutes ago on today, Friday, March 3rd.
And again, that docking time was 10:40 p.m. Pacific time, 12:40 a.m. Eastern time, or Central time rather, on the 3rd. So if you're tracking in Eastern time, that's 1:40 a.m. And now that Crew 6 has arrived, we're looking ahead to the return of Crew 5. We'll be taking you along as Nicole Mann, Josh Cassada, Koichi Wakata, and Anna Kikina return home after their long-duration stay aboard the station. Teams are assessing return dates, which will be announced on NASA.gov, so be sure to tune in as NASA and SpaceX bring you live coverage every step of their journey. Be sure to follow SpaceX and NASA on social media for real.
You got to tell her though, hair game is on point though, for real. Hair game's on point. Make sure you relay that message.
Continue sharing the mission as the crew prepares to board their home for the next 6 months, the International Space Station. For those of you watching on the SpaceX YouTube channel, please head over to NASA TV to follow the coverage live.
Hair game's on point, son. What happens if the touchscreen monitors fail in the pod? Rob, there are backup buttons too. Surrender Crew has a new capsule up there, Keen. Yeah, the Soyuz MS-23 is up there. They launched it with no people inside. It did dock to the ISS. Things are very visually appealing, yes. Now, all I said was hair game on point. That's it. See, I mean, Artful, I have to wear a hat. My hair game is not on point. Look at this. Look at this. Freaking cue ball up here, all right? Her hair is way better than mine, just saying. Just putting it out there. All right. We should be able to switch over to coverage, guys. Here, let's see. Your YouTube recommendations. What do we have for YouTube recommends? Let's see. So it's Nukes, SpaceX Mission Control, Chill Wave, NSF Live, Crew 6. Classical masterpieces. Very good. Chill Wave, McGregor, Gran Turismo music, Space Documentary, and more Chill Wave. I feel your pain. Yeah, Desert. Yeah, you know. We got the hat going for a reason, bro. Are you ready to see your new hair? Check out my new freaking haircut. Check out my new haircut, guy. I love the Kerbal freaking out. Yeah, Val's having a good time over there. All right. What time is it? It's 2:01, guys. I don't know. Maybe we should go... We'll see if we can go find a NASA coverage. It should be around. Yeah, there we go. The algorithm knows me pretty well. No, this is hair. Yeah, that's Anna. Yeah, Anna's hair game is on point too. It's pretty sweet. It's your boy, big time Tommy. Jaeger bombs, Jaeger bombs, Jaeger bombs, Jaeger bombs. That's old school, man. That's old school, dude. Good times. All right. All right, medic. Have a good night, my brother. Yeah, NASA's just showing a nice high-res shot of the capsule. I wonder if they had views. Let me see. Nope. Damn. Let me see, Forlorn. I7, 13.7. Ooh, very good. 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 G-Skill Ripjaw. You want a little word on G-Skill Ripjaw, Forlorn? I have G-Skill Ripjaw in my encoding PC, and it's been there since 2011, and it never failed me. And I don't exactly baby that computer either. Be quiet, pure base tower. You got an 850 power supply. Video card, GeForce RTX 3060 Ti. Yeah, that's a good little rig. G-Skill is great RAM. I'm telling you, I swear by the stuff. I just realized something with KSP2 multiplayer. We're gonna have a lot more space junk in space. Mm-hmm. Man, starting to get a little buzz going. Shoot. Starting to get a little buzz going. I think that might be my cue. We can watch the ingress ceremony probably tomorrow. Easy lightweight, what's up? Man, I haven't eaten anything all day. I've been here since God knows how long. It's pretty bad. I have killed a handle on stream before. I did delete that VOD out of shame, though. I had a bottle of Tres Comas, like from Silicon Valley, and it was actually a handle of whiskey, and I killed the whole thing on stream while trying to play GTA. Whoops. Lies? I swear that absolutely happened. Okay. Artful, why would I say this on the internet? What I'm about to tell you, this is how you know it's legit. I woke up in the frigging bathtub with puke everywhere the next day. That's where I woke up, in the freaking bathtub, covered in puke the next day. Why would I make that up? Why would I make that up? I don't remember how I got there. I don't remember shutting the stream off. I don't remember going to the bathroom. I don't remember any of that. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't know how I got there. I woke up there and I was like, what the frick just happened? I did not like that with Jim Bean once. Sim, I did a New Year's stream in 2019 going into 2020 because we were like, at the time, we were like, the 2020s are going to be sweet. Rolling 20s, am I right? Wow, we were wrong. Oops. So I killed a handle of tequila on stream, and I was good until I ran out of water. I ran out of water with like 2 hours to go on the stream, and that was the end of that, dude. That was the end of that. I have the VOD somewhere, Salyut, but yeah. What you're holding up is not a handle. Yeah, I know, Stormy. This is not what I was... That's not what I was drinking, but... It was at this moment that he knew. He fricked up. Alright, next time, Boston, we're slapping bottles. Deal. Deal. Best New Year's stream ever? No, Artful, I don't know. I'm 6'4", 250. You really want to play that game? You play that game? We'll play that game. We'll play that game. YouTube members special when? I just bought a bottle of Elijah Craig tonight. Doing a shot for you, bud. Hell yeah. I'm 6'1", bro. You're 6'1"? No shit. Really? Holy frick, you're tall. Damn. All right. No shit. That's freaking cool. Artful, my fiance is 5'10", so like it's so funny when like we introduce ourselves to people and like and people have to look up at her. They're like, "Holy crap!" And she's like, "Hey," I'm like, yeah. "What up?" Brimo is tall, dudes. Brimo's very tall. But Artful, you're 6'1". Damn. Tall Mo. Yeah, Salute. I chalked that one up to a steady diet of meat and potatoes and playing a lot of sports. Buffalo Trace line, Stormy. All right, cool. Anyway, yeah, Artful. Yeah, next time you're up here, or if I make my way down to where you're at, I'm gonna go over where heels and places lose their collective minds. That's awesome. That's so legit. Oh, that's good. That's kick ass, man. When is your next space event stream? So I can stock up on the liquor. Horse dope, I usually don't down stuff, but it's late and whatever. It's all right. I've been working hard lately, so it's okay. Yeah, Guy does not screw around, my friend. Right from the bottle. No, I'm an adult. I own a house. I can say stuff like tax exemption, and if I want to drink whiskey from the bottle, I can do it. Are you still in Florida, or did you move? I'm in Boston. Yeah, Professor. I actually moved out of the city. I moved out. The city's too expensive. My poor ass can't afford that. Adendel, no here's for you. You're already 6'9". 6'9"? $10,000 interest tax exemption. Yeah, we're adults, right? We can say stuff like that or something. Yeah, Knob Creek is good. This is my favorite. I like Knob Creek. You moved to America's Pirate Hook. Yeah, I'm down on Cape Cod now. 202 centimeter in metrics. I'm 193 Adendal. That's crazy. You're remembering F1 starts in 4.5 hours, right? Yeah, I remembered that, Tessa. I was just testing you. Cheers, smart dude. Right on, sandwich. Oh, damn. Hey, Warjo, you see Bottas's new haircut? You see how he looks like an NPC from My Summer Car now? It was at this moment that he knew he screwed up. Yeah, it's just FP1 though, Tessa. Who cares? No, Valtteri has a mullet and a mustache, dude. He looks like one of the NPCs from Summer Car. No joke. EJ, Knob Creek is your favorite. I'm going to make fun of you for this. You realize that, right? What's wrong with Knob Creek? Hey, what the shit is this? What do you mean? I like Knob. Shut up. You shush everyone, point and laugh. Oh fuck. Oh boy. Yeah, I like Knob Creek. What's wrong with Knob Creek? Knob Creek's good. This is Kentucky straight bourbon. This is bull crap. I don't have to take this. I don't need this. He said knob. Jesus Christ. Excuse me for a second. Dude, the mullet's fresh. I had a mullet during COVID. No joke. Oh, yeah. Hair is down to here. Dude, I actually had a bet with chat that I'd shave my head if SN15 landed. Or SN15. Yeah. Artful, you ever hear about that? My hair was down to here. I had a freaking mullet. Hair was down to my shoulders. Like, you could grab at it, right? And I had a bet with chat that if SN15 landed, I'd shave my head. I shaved my head. Damn it. Oh well. Shit happens. Yeah. The mullet was pretty dope though. It was pretty dope. The mullet was finally gone. It was so bad. It was not bad, dude. It was sick. All right? Questionable. It's ridiculous. This is streamer persecution. First Artful comes in here, gives me shit about my taste in liquor. I'm sorry, it's wicked funny. I'm not shaving my head for anything unless it's something for a cancer patient. Yeah. I can get away with it. I don't know about you though. Oh wait, we got a shot inside looking at the CBM hatch. So this is looking actually up. Right there is the hatch to Dragon right there. I liked it. And when I found this channel and Twitch in general, all right, cool, right on. The mullet is so gosh darn bad, bro. Oh my God, stop! You're gonna end up in the tub again. Yeah, I should probably stop. I'll put the crick over there. Oh, I gotta burp. Hold on. Oh. Why did I mute? Because nobody... Alright, you guys probably would have wanted to hear that, but no, I'm good. It was good pitch, kind of scuffed at the end. 9.5 out of 10. That's good, alright. I smell it! You robbed us of that? Yeah, I don't want to burp on stream. During the day, Artful, I'm actually pretty professional, okay? I try to stay pretty professional. Like, as good as I can, but... Only if you still have the mower when you fix the snowblower. Hey, the snowblower works, dude. I fixed that thing. What are those white bags? Storage. Dude, seriously, you never rob somebody of a good burp. All right. Well, I'll be sure to burp in your presence next time, Artful. Jeez.
And another view now inside the International Space Station. Nicole Mann, who's the commander of the Crew Dragon Endurance.
This is all storage, yep.
That will be departing the International Space Station next week to complete...
EJ, which way do I want the arrows pointing on my decouplers? Up. Point them forward, towards the payload, dude. If you had the mullet, we could have made
just to recap, the Crew Dragon
GMT sim
launched in the early morning hours of March 2nd, just over 24 hours ago, docking to the Zenith port of the Harmony module of the station at 12:40 a.m. Central Time, 1:40 a.m. Eastern Time.
We'll stay up for this. You guys are cool. We'll stay up. We're having a good time.
For the opening of the hatches, that's expected.
I'll pay for it tomorrow, but it's fine.
10 a.m. Central, give or take a few minutes. And about 40 minutes later, we are expecting a welcoming ceremony somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 a.m. Central, 4 a.m. Eastern Time.
Yeah, maybe, Blinga. Yeah, maybe. You know what I should wash it down with, bro? Aussie. Wash it down with these. This is a delicacy, man. This is a delicacy. Dude, Heavy Metal Rain, a viewer from Australia, sent me like probably $200 days worth of like Tim Tams, dude, and I'm still busting through it. It's like every flavor, and it's fantastic. I love it every second of it. What is that? They're Tim Tams. Tim Tams are Australian biscuits, like chocolatey biscuits. They're amazing.
Dragon, Houston on the big loop. Stand by for hardline audio config.
Yes, Oz. Yeah. Folks taught me how to do the Tim Tam Slam. Holy balls, dude! It is so freaking good, delicious, freaking delicious. Yeah, common Aussie W.
The International Space Station
Indeed.
and the newly arrived Crew Dragon Endeavour flying 260 miles over the South Pacific.
Endeavor's up there.
Dragon copies on the big loop.
Whoa!
Just to the northeast of
Hi,
New
Josh.
Zealand. As you look at Nicole Mann and Josh Cassada of the Crew-5 crew,
Discovery.
as they are
Hey, Shaq,
awaiting
what's up, dude?
the opening of the hatch, they'll be conducting leak checks and checks of the integrity at the vestibule, the small passageway
Yeah,
that
Tim
connects
Tams
the
are
Harmony module to the hatchway of
not
Dragon
something you have every day.
before the green light is given for the hatches to be open. And for
There's 7 people on the station, 4 people coming in on Crew Dragon, so it's going to bring it up to 11 when they open up the hatch. We're currently looking towards the V-bar port here, so that's the forward port on node 2. That's where Dragon Endeavor. So Nicole, Josh, Anna, and Koichi's Dragon is over here. It's behind Josh. The Crew-6 Dragon is up there. It's actually this way. It's on the zenith of node 2. Speak for yourself, moron.
The docking hook's not open alert from your displays.
Okay, clear the docking hook's not open alert. 14, I think, Reptar. When the shuttle was up there, it was a little crowded. You had an entire shuttle crew and the station crew.
SpaceX Dragon copies will be watched.
Sorry, I got it stuck in my head still. What's the record for being in the space station? What do you mean, Tech? For people in the space station, or in, like how long someone's been up there? The Kerbal trailer song. Yeah, Howard Jones. Things can only get better. I love that song. 19 people?
we should be getting a video from inside Dragon.
That's a gnarly amount of people. That's a lot for the space station. But yeah, when the shuttle was rolling up there, it got a little crowded. Oh, no, that's in space. Yeah, okay.
It's leading to the hatch opening on their side of the docking interface.
Hardline audio configuration is complete. How do you hear me?
Okay, they're communicating through the ISS antennas now. Or at least, hopefully. Yeah.
Houston SpaceX copies. How do you hear us?
Dragon, Houston hears you 5x5.
Okay, good. Who's that over there? All right. Yep.
Houston SpaceX Dragon copy.
See ya. Yeah, I think the person that had the longest consecutive stay in space is Krik. I think Krikalev. Krikalev is the longest one. I think most hours in space is either Gennady Padalka or... I forget. I'll be lurking this channel for a while. We'll be here, Sandwich. That's what I do. Do you think that Tim will fly up and down on Starship for Dear Moon? I'm more inclined towards a Crew Dragon launch that docks to Starship. I think that it's end-to-end salute, but I don't know. That mission is still way abstract right now. Yeah, I've met that guy, Artful. The ISS, the 2014 International Space Station Research and Development Conference was in Boston, and I kind of managed to weasel my way in there. I met a lot of astronauts and cosmonauts that day. I don't know how I did that, but we managed to get that done. That was pretty rad. So yeah, I've met Sergei Krikalev. That guy's cool. And who was at Space Fest? Gennady Padalka was there, I think. He was at Space Fest too. That guy's been to space a lot. You're in Boston now? Yo.
Both sides of the docking interface are in progress. Everything proceeding as planned. for the opening of the hatches.
14 people in
allowing
space right now.
Crew-6 to come on
cool.
board for the beginning of their
Wakata-sama!
space. You see Koichi Wakata from the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency,
it's
who
Valery
has been working during this rendezvous time frame in the Kibo module, that is the hatchway just off to the left.
Yeah, Scott Kelly's been up there, was up there for a long time. Him and Mikhail Kononenko in 2017 did a year in space. Christina Cook did an extended stay on the ISS kind of inadvertently a little while back. She was up there for a good while. If you even catch this with a lot of people here, I'm proud of you. You've actually done more for learning about space than any other person on the planet. Shit, man, that's high praise. Thank you. Well, that's really high praise. Nah, Celtic, thanks. I think there are people that have done a better job than me, but I'm just doing my part. I'm just doing my part. Space is dope. And people do dope stuff in space. Okay?
And you'll be welcome to come on board then.
Copy all, Woody.
But yeah, I mean...
On board Dragon, acknowledging...
All right. Yeah. I'm doing my part. Would you like to know more? Desire to know more intensifies. But yeah, Celtic, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Mark Van High and Peter Dubrov stayed on the ISS for 354 days. Yep. You doubt that? What do you doubt? Freddie, you learned a lot here. Oh, good. Any love for Blue Origin? Lazy, I like anybody that has the balls to throw their hat into the ring for commercial spaceflight has my respect. There are just some people that are doing it more than others right now. But yeah. Yeah, dude, I know people at Blue. Know plenty of people that work there. Oh, yeah. I know the people that work at SpaceX, you know. Freaking, what do you want me to say? Like, you work there, Lazy? No crap, dude. I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm going to fanboy out when New Glenn launches, but yeah, that's going to be a good day. Okay, we get it. You have more friends than us. What is this channel? Scott Manley style, I feel. Joe, Scott's actually a good buddy of mine, dude. Yeah, we collab on Twitch sometimes, dude. I did his runway project with him the other day. Yeah, Scott's a good buddy of mine. Yeah, same deal. I would say that Scott is smarter than me, though. You know, but hey, you know what they say? Surround yourself with smart people, right? Scott is way smarter than I am. Like, when we were in Amsterdam a couple weeks ago, me and Scott were talking about the Apollo guidance system. And I was like, how did the AGC do this, and this? Because you're a software guy, I know it. And he's like, oh, well. And I'm like, I got most of that, but I didn't get all of it, you know? Hello, Scott Manley here. You're the most intelligent, nicest nut I've ever seen. Thanks, Patton, I think. Wish I had as good as internet connection as these guys in space. You know what the funny thing is, Autotech? The ISS internet connection sucks. It's terrible. It's terrible if you want to go on Twitter. The fact of the matter is that the ISS is actually insanely good. It has one of the most high-speed connections around. But a lot of the bandwidth is taken up from all the telemetry for the life support systems for mission control. That's the majority of the bandwidth. So what is left is, like, not very good. I think everything is okay, Sudden Kill. I think I just misheard it.
Okay, station copies.
Not necessarily like that, Astrobrains, but it's the life support for the station, not like a heart monitor for the astronauts, but yeah, who needs life support systems anyway? That's so dumb. Like, yeah, why would you need to breathe? That's stupid or something. Smarter Every Day is a video on the AGC. Yeah,
This is Mission Control Houston.
AGC
just
cool.
A bit of a refinement on the times for events coming up. Spacecraft communicator David Brenner here in Mission Control.
You have time, Finder.
Reporting to the crew on board the International Space Station. We are expecting a hatch opening about 45 minutes from now.
You have time.
That would be about 2:10 a.m. Central Time, 3:10 Eastern Time, if that timeline is correct. The welcoming ceremony is expected
What up, Josh?
somewhere
It's
between about 2:45 and 3 a.m. Central Time. So if you're keeping track of events here in the deep overnight, that's where we're headed. And we'll keep you posted as any of those times get refined. Again.
Yeah, it's going to be a while before they open the hatch, fellas. I might need to call it because I need to be back here in 10 hours. Surprised they wear stuff like watches. Would think it would be a hazard getting caught. Nah, the inside of the station is pretty straightforward. Does the weightlessness of space have negative effects on a person's internal organs? Yes. Absolutely, Patton. Muscles, especially. You'll get atrophy. Yeah, you get atrophy, and then that can screw with your vascular system. Then bone marrow. Your bones don't produce as much marrow up there. If you sit. The astronauts have to work out for 2 hours every day. 2 hours of workout. Never skip leg day. I was actually talking to people about this a little bit earlier. If you don't work out, you stay up there for a year, you come back down, you'll try to walk around, and your muscles will be so deprived of oxygen that your heart will go into overdrive and you can go into a cardiac arrest. Yeah, that's not good. Are you familiar with the Aquarius reef base? The reef base? No. No, I'm not. 7 years. So, Ace, you've been working at Blue for 7 years? Ace, I tried to tell people how much of a Chad tier engineer Gary Lay is, but people weren't having it. I mean, what New Shepard does is pretty bananas for hydrolocks, but everyone's, most of the people that I tell people about are like, oh, that's cool. But whenever I get a new viewer in here, dude, they're like, oh, it just goes up and comes back down. I'm like, yeah, but it's doing that on hydrolocks. I don't think you realize how difficult that actually is. Gary's a beast, man. A beast. Thanks for the stream. All right, Antares. Quick question. Would you be willing to go through some of the mathematical equations on stream for spaceflight? I think it would be super informative and interesting. I try to keep it simple, Astro. I mean, I'm not that good at math, dude. If you really want to know about it, I'm not that good at math. But the thing is that I'm not good at math because I don't practice very much. I try to keep my definitions simple. I could go into some basic stuff if you really wanted to, but I need to practice, to be honest with you. Your boy ain't good at math. The Aquarius reef base is an Oh yeah, Draco. The underwater base. That's cool. Flo, what's up, dude? Orbital Reef is the Blue space station. Yeah. Guys, Blue. The thing about Blue is that Blue does not show anything until they have something to show. That is their rule. That's how they roll. That's how they've been doing things. I'm telling you, one of these days, New Glenn is just gonna roll out of the hangar, and everyone's gonna be like, "What the frick is that?" The flight prototypes, not flight prototypes. The first flight booster is already made. It's built. It's in pieces, but it's manufactured. Let me put it to you like that. Ace, don't ask how I know that. What happened with the docking? I only saw the tweet notifications. So, Flo, what happened with the docking is they got to 20 meters out. They got to waypoint 2 on the R-bar alignment, and there was a software problem after that. Software problem was the same problem that they encountered during ascent yesterday, where the number 5 hook on the IDSS, the software governing the number 5 hook said it was not working. So, who's the leak? Don't worry about it. No, it's like Tom Clancy. If you know where to look, you can find whatever. You can find anything. So, Flo, dude, it was actually pretty legit. What SpaceX did, they literally pushed a hot fix to the capsule in 30 minutes, and they overrode the software, and they docked it, and the drive hooks worked, and now we're just waiting for them to open up the hatch. Hatch opening should be in a little bit. They got to pressurize the vestibule, and then they have to equalize the pressure, and then they're going to come in. It's going to take some time, dude. Yeah, they just patched it right there, dude. It was pretty nuts. Like, we sat there and watched the whole thing. But we did get some nice freaking views. Here, look at this. They had 4K up on this capsule. Like, look. Some of the best views that I've seen of Dragon thus far. Just. Yeah, what Blinga said, Ace. Speaking of Blue, they have a patent for a dual-use docking mechanism for IDSS inside of a CDM. Inside of a CBM, the IDSS would extend if a craft is coming in that needs it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Flo, we got those baller freaking pictures, dude. So, yeah. I mean, Ace, we know here that Blue's doing it. Blue's got their hands in all kinds of stuff. There's Orbital Reef. I know that they're doing something with nuclear propulsion because I read the job postings because I'm a loser. Yeah, and New Glenn is getting there, dude. That aft section, the engine section looks dope. It looks dope, dude. Yeah. Don't forget Blue Moon. They are working on some kind of lander Blinga, but I don't know what it is. Do you think going forward, think Starship, there might be a faster method for docking that doesn't take the time that it currently does? With Starship, I don't know. I don't think Starship's ever going to make it up to the ISS, but who knows? Join us. One of us. One of us. One of us. Sadly missed the docking, but I'll rewatch it tomorrow. Bartassi, you didn't miss anything. The KU band antenna went out. They had to move the KU band antenna during docking, so none of us saw it. They're like, we docked, okay, cool, and then they showed a picture of Dragon docked after, so it's all good, man. Kind of got robbed a little bit. Why don't you think Starship will make it to the ISS? I don't think there's any need to, Phantom. I don't think there's any need. If Starship wants to go to a space station, you just put a space station module inside of Starship and then just send it up there. You know? I just want more GSE pictures from Blue like ASAP. Yep. I mean, Phantom, see, here's the thing. I don't think it would, but it might. It might. Who knows? Couldn't they have recorded the docking and then broadcast it when they get KU back? I suppose they could, Code. Yeah. Maybe they're downloading that footage now. You don't know. But yeah, Starship's design, I think, is in so much flux right now that I'm not even sure, you know? How much longer is the ISS intended to operate for? Pogue, we got it up to, U.S. is committed to the ISS through 2030, and the Russians are committed to 2028, so yeah, it's going to be around for a little bit longer. I can respect the mentality you speak only when you have something to show. I myself need to learn to shut the frick up more often. Shut up and listening, Salute, is a good thing. That's a good virtue. That is a good thing. Too many people talking all the time nowadays. Now, don't get me wrong, I talk a lot. I get paid to talk. But if there's somebody that I really need to listen to, I shut up. I'm the quietest person there. And before the Canadians take over the ISS, oh yeah, we're coming up there. We're just gonna, just change a couple of these modules around, guy. We're this one's gonna be called the Beaver module now. Yep, we're gonna call it the Beaver one, and then yeah, see, he's doing that right now. Please get away from me. That's a little weird. Personal space. Yeah, I mean, Ev said, it really just feeds into a mentality that I have about you should always learn. There's always someone that's smarter than you. I don't know. Like, dude, like, it's going to sound so screwed up, but the second I started kind of telling myself, like, You know, there was a while when I was playing Kerbal, it's like, yeah, I'm good at Kerbal. I understand everything. Don't get me wrong, this was a long time ago, right? You know, I'm good at Kerbal. I understand everything. I got this. I'll be fine. I could really learn this, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't get you very far. That mentality of like, yeah, I know everything. I'm good. No. I found that I ended up learning 1,000 times more when I was constantly telling myself that I know nothing and that I need to get better. Take that for what it's worth. You know? You should never stop learning. Keep this thing sharp. And the best way to keep the blade sharp, Mr. Khan, is to use it. Yeah. I will constantly put myself down. I will constantly tell myself I do not know enough to do what I'm doing. And that's how I get better. It's a harsh thing to do, and not everybody can do it. My mind is a very weird place. But yeah. That's how I roll. Something like that, Whiskey, yeah. Some real Dunning-Kruger stuff. Yeah, absolutely. That's how I know so much about spaceflight, guys, because when there's somebody around that knows more about spaceflight than me, I shut the fuck up and I let them talk. I don't try to contribute like I know something. No, I said, oh, that's awesome. Sweet. I want to learn. As the diameter of your knowledge increases, the circumference of the unknown increases. Well said, dude. Cheers to that. What time is it on the ISS right now? 8:30 in the morning. It's either 8 or 7:30 a.m. Yeah, Freddie, it's crucial. Crucial. All right, guys, I'm going to call it for real. 7:38. Thanks, Egglobber. Yeah, appreciate it. 7:39. Yeah, I mean, you guys over there probably would know better than me, huh? I am actually going to go to bed now. I should probably sleep. We'll watch the hatch opening ceremony tomorrow. I can see where this goes. I could keep streaming, but I want to get up and play Kerbal in the morning. I'm not even kidding. That is the reason why I want to go to bed now. You know what? It ain't a bad problem to have, dudes. I'm not even kidding. We got a Starlink tomorrow. Okay. What time? Let's go over to next space flight here. 1:38 p.m. All right, cool. Starlink and Kerbal. All right. I'm posting the ISS coverage there. It's in chat for you all. Yeah. Let's see what we can raid. Let's see who's around. Who knows? We raided Middle Ditch before, and that was fun. That was a fun time. I like his stream. Middle Ditch's stream is dope. There is no one streaming right now. Such a great stream. Thanks, Sandwich. What time do you start streaming? Noontime Eastern. Yeah, noontime Eastern, guys. You know what? We'll just pop off. I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? Nah, Autotech, I'm just gonna dip out, dude. I'm tired. I don't feel like going to a raid. Is that bad? Am I being lazy? Maybe a little. All right. Yeah, Burke is playing Kerbal. Yeah, go check him out, dude. But yeah, I'm gonna head out, dudes. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys at noontime tomorrow. That is in about 9 hour, 20 minute from now. So I gotta go to bed. Have a good night, guys. Thanks for watching, okay?